Some guys out here on the tour don't like golf. They just do it because it's their job and they get paid to do it. But I love the majors. I love, that's why I practice. Is not.
You love golf.
I love golf, and I love competing, and I love having a chance to win on Sunday.
Foreplay brought to you by Barstool Sports, presented by our good friends at Chevrolet. Happy Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving week. We're a pro holiday podcast, so happy Thanksgiving. I'm seeing different kind of soft greens and browns and grays we're rocking. It's that time of year, so happy Thanksgiving. We love the holidays. The second I get back from Thanksgiving, I'm putting up my Christmas tree. So we're sort of, once this show hits the airwaves, we're not quite there yet because we're recording on Sunday. We got all kinds of shit going on. But I think that once this podcast airs, people are in holiday mode. They're sort of checking out of work for the week. So happy fucking Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. I have in the past been less excited about Thanksgiving just because I think it's a speed bump on the way to Christmas. I know that's incredibly disrespectful to Thanksgiving as a whole, but I've always felt that way.
Yeah, Native Americans,
No. Hold on.
Yeah, isn't Thanksgiving canceled now? So Trent probably falls into that category. You just don't.
Oh yeah, I'm the lib on the show.
Yeah.
If well, the only reason for me was because I wasn't going home. I would stay around the city and I wouldn't really celebrate it because I was just like, oh, we got a week off for Christmas, so I might as well just go back for that. But I'm not going back for Christmas this year, so I am going back to Cedar Rapids for Thanksgiving. So I'm more excited about Thanksgiving. It's all about individuality. Like if it's better for me, then I am excited about it.
It's a feast.
It's one of those things where going home is a big part of it. So I can totally see how if you don't go home, the holiday becomes more of a nuisance than anything else. Because what are you gonna buy a turkey? I mean, there's so much logistical nightmare if someone's not, a nice mother is not taking care of it. So I feel like that is a huge part of it, is having everything taken care of.
One time living in the city, I ordered a Thanksgiving package from a diner. Mm-hmm. And it was a disaster. Yeah, it was a complete and utter disaster. Turkey doesn't travel well. Mashed potatoes don't travel great.
Mashed potatoes don't travel well.
Especially when you're used to having a full spread made by your mom and your aunt and everybody brings stuff. And then you order one from the diner down the street and it was not the same thing.
Dude, I didn't go home for Thanksgiving for forever because of hockey. Because I was always... wherever I was, school, high school, college, whatever, it was hockey. There's like mid-season. So you always had a game Friday or Saturday night. So you always go to like a buddy's house. I think Coach Donato one year when I was at Hart had the team over to his place for like Thanksgiving. So we kind of always did Thanksgiving on the road. One year to bring everything full circle, I think I actually did Thanksgiving alone at 310 Bowery. And the reason I say full circle is because I think that's the company that runs the Barstool bars. Because one year I did the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I went and filmed like a Man on the Street video. And so that whole day I filmed that. We edited it. And then it was like 5 o'clock in the evening on Thanksgiving by the time it was done. And I was like, well, I want to eat some Thanksgiving. And I was looking up on maps who's open. And they, on their Instagram, wherever, they were like, we're open. You can have Thanksgiving. I was like, all right. And I went in there and had Thanksgiving. It was a little bit of a dark Thanksgiving.
That's dark.
I'm glad, we're.
I would assume in New York City, you get that a lot, though. A lot of people living on their own, transplants. No one's actually from the city, so it's not like you have much family. I
wasn't alone. I'll tell you that much. I wasn't alone.
That makes more sense. If you're finding a bar on Sunrise Highway on Long Island and on Thanksgiving, you're in a dark spot. Like that. If you're in the suburbs looking for like a dimly lit bar on Thanksgiving, things obviously happen in your family that you just aren't invited anywhere. And, some people have those issues, and I hope that some places are open on Thanksgiving.
Are people trying to cancel Thanksgiving because it was portrayed forever as like the time we all came together, and it's turning out that like our pals had like guns to their head and we're like, you're going to
I think that's generally why.
Canceling Thanksgiving, that's the first time hearing of that.
I think the picture,
I wasn't really sure
beautiful
about that
picture
either.
of Thanksgiving where like the Pilgrims and the Native Americans are all eating together, then changed to like a guy holding like a head, and like there was like swords and knives, and it was like, whoa, it's a little more bloody than we thought. I actually think Thanksgiving was like
turkey right now, and you're gonna.
I think
shake
Thanksgiving
my
was
hand.
like a massacre, right? I think it was like the first like genocide on like American soil. Like it was like,
let's should check that because I feel like Thanksgiving's pretty sensitive. I don't want to be the guys that are kind of spreading false information.
I don't know.
About
That's what I've heard on Twitter.
Speaking
of
Thanksgiving,
Thanksgiving, I think it's a little bit like. It's more. like we talk about with Christmas. Christmas is more cultural than religious at this point. I feel like in the United States, especially with my family, my group, it's a cultural thing. I know Dave, who's obviously Jewish, has celebrated and talked about how much he loves Christmas forever. So I'm with that on Thanksgiving as well. Yes, we should understand the true history. Let's try to get to the facts.
Well, I found
it ain't going to change anything for me.
Here's
I'm
a
gonna eat
website
turkey
on
and have a great time.
FoxNews.com. Thanksgiving canceled.
So you know it's real.
Yeah,
Thanksgiving canceled. Libs who say America's holiday promotes genocide and white supremacy.
Okay. All right.
Two things I don't promote, just for the record.
That's objective. So
Yeah.
that should be good. Chevy, baby. Bolt to EV. Well, Bolt to Blazer, EV. We're on the electric vehicle train. We're in the future, right, Dan? We're moving into the future here at this point.
It's gotten to the point where anyone I know sees a Chevy and they send me a picture. That's how much I love Chevy.
A few of Chevrolet's beloved, best-selling, have been designed as electric vehicle models powered by Ultium. Ultium just sounds legit. I'm sure it is. It has to be for an all-electric future. Equinox EV, Blazer EV, Silverado EV, that's what we're talking about, and they are powered by Ultium. Chevrolet has electric vehicles available now. So go check out their website. Go to Chevrolet's site. I know Chevy. I was actually listening to a Taylor Swift song the other day. I think it's Tim McGraw, where she talks about driving in his Chevy at the beginning. Chevy, I can't see or hear now without instantly being excited, basically. So you can now take that excitement and put it into an EV, which is what they've done. So go check out their vehicles. They're affordable. You don't have to be rich to have an EV. They got an established full-line brand over at Chevrolet that you've known for years, decades. We can offer multiple EV vehicles with the volume, the variety, and the value customers all over the world have come to expect. So big thanks to Chevy. Go check out their EVs. EVs for everyone, everywhere.
Well, you talk about dark Thanksgiving memories. I remember 2018, Tiger played Phil in Vegas on Black Friday. So I drove to Vegas the night of Thanksgiving with a buddy of mine he was a bit of a degenerate. Logan, if you're listening, still an all-time move, you letting me pick you up from your Thanksgiving dinner to go to Vegas together. We drove to Vegas and we got there, 11:15, and you just get to Vegas. You have to go at least explore a little bit. And the characters that we saw playing the slots by themselves on Thanksgiving night was a sight that I will not forget anytime soon.
I was there. Me and Bass were there for that as well. I will say pretty much the characters you see playing the slots at any
I guess
time,
so. Not a huge variance.
Literally any time. I don't think they move. I think it's
There's
just
never a good crop of slots.
That's a no days off crew. It doesn't matter what day it is.
Yeah,
shoveled in. They're going to be
not
there.
like July 11th. It's a really good crop, and that's
fair enough.
It's just the same fucking people I think that are in there.
Well,
just
these
old women
casinos, they're
smoking
horrifying.
cigarettes.
Like my grandma used to get picked up from her condo in Florida, and they just drive her to the casino. They
Feels like it should be illegal.
They let them all play the slots and think they're gonna make a bunch of money. They'd pick them up and bring them back home. It was a free shuttle, free lunch, the whole thing. It was crazy. It's like, come over here, hit these buttons.
My dad and my uncle would take my grandma once or twice a year to the casino that was 45 minutes away, and that was like
someone just heard
that. What was that?
I got a lot of things going on behind this desk, and I just keep kicking them over. So I'm sorry for that horrifically loud noise.
You guys got so much going on there. I feel like
I know it's crazy. It's an unfortunate situation. Like behind this desk, everything in this room is beautiful, and I stuffed everything behind the desk. So there's like metals, and there's all these. There's a bunch of different
Exposed
things that
wires?
can create noise. Yeah, exposed wires that I'm hiding behind things that I'm like covering in front of it, which I just kicked over.
All right, big show. We got Webb Simpson on this show. Now, we don't usually talk about having a guest before, but we've been teasing it. I feel like Webb Simpson's a guy that plans to do an interview, and then he's there for that interview. I don't feel like he's a guy that's going to miss it. So second half of the show, we're going to have Webb Simpson on. Very funny timing because the bet that we did last week, which we came up with for Barstool Sportsbook, was nailing it. Webb Simpson was leading the tournament, I felt like, through 9 or 12 holes on Thursday. He was looking like a lock. Kiz was struggling. That's why golf tournaments are long, 72 holes. Well, it ended up that Webb Simpson shot mid-70s or something on Friday and missed the cut, I think, by 1, and the other 3 guys made it. So great news for Barstool Sportsbook, who owns us, because they didn't have that exposure get exposed. bad news for everybody out there betting, because I bet it. I was on it. It was 6-1 basically by the time we got boosted, plus 590. And Weber missed it by 1. So unrelated. We're not going to be hating on him for that. But anyways, we've talked about Webb Simpson a lot. He's a major winner. He won the Players' Championship. He's been a very, very, very solid player from the American side for a couple, decades now, or whatever it is, whatever it's been, 15 years. So first time on the show. Excited to have Webb on the show.
He also had a hole-in-one.
He had a hole-in-one and missed the cut, which is tough.
Missed the cut.
Just
That's a tough one. Yeah.
It's tough. And then we have also the finale, I believe, is Old Musselboro. Is that coming out on Tuesday? Is that correct there, Brendan Jones?
Yes, sir. Old Musselboro. Hickory sticks.
We got that moron Alex Bush isn't here because he was supposed to be at Buffalo. Did he end up going somewhere?
No, I think he just had a late night playing video games.
There was a rumor.
I saw him tweeting about video games last night.
There's a rumor.
You said you mad, bro.
Yeah.
Before the show
He's
that
tagging Activision last night, chirping about Call of Duty.
Alex Bush may still be asleep right now.
I confirmed.
I think he is.
I got life. Yeah, I got life confirmed like maybe 10 minutes ago. He was like, "Holy shit, I just woke up." I was like, "Phew, brother, you're almost 30 years old, dog."
So 1 o'clock. So we think the Bushman was just playing video games all night. He wasn't even out on the town.
I mean,
Definitely not on the town.
Wow.
Bushman doesn't seem like
I
an
don't
out
think
on the
we've
town.
seen
Is he in
Alex.
college?
We haven't seen him go crazy yet, right? Like I haven't seen him out.
yeah, I don't.
Brendan,
I
have
don't
you
think
been out with
I
him
don't
yet?
think he rolls like that, which is fine.
Okay.
It's actually
Right.
good.
Yeah, but yeah, Old Musselboro.
He was mad because his Call of Duty lobby was laggy last night, so he was tagging Activision.
He's a
What time was
resident
that
nerd.
tweet sent? What time was that tweet sent?
I don't know, but he was upset with them. Anyways, Old Musselboro, the finale of Scotland. Oldest course. This kind of tricked us up a little bit, but this is like the oldest course ever, older than the old course at St. Andrews, I believe. And we played it 9 holes, and we played it with persimmons with hickories and clubs from 120 years ago is what we used. The ball that we used was discontinued in like 1920 or something like that. So we legitimately used the oldest equipment that you could basically use. It's all tied up going into the final round. Myself and Trent against Lurch and Frankie. We're playing 9 holes. We're playing one of the oldest tracks ever. There's a horse track around the actual golf course. We play with the old clubs, with the hickories. It was awesome and different. And the whole thing comes down to this, and that's on our YouTube page tonight.
The spoon. We were using the spoon, which was like an insanely cool wedge. You could hit it from like 120 yards or right off the green. I had a really tough time with the grips. I mean, I don't know what they used to do. I guess they just had stronger hands than I did, and like just everything was a lot more firm. But for me, I could not grip that golf club. Like it basically had 0 on the wrapping scale. Like there was just no thickness to it. So you're basically holding this very thin wooden golf club, and every time you went to go swing it, it felt like it was just going to fly out of your hands. So credit to you guys. You guys play some pretty good golf. It was really, really difficult. I'm interested to see some of these shots because it felt like you weren't playing golf anymore. I couldn't hold on to the club.
I think a factor of that might have been how old the clubs were as well.
Right.
Like I feel like if I took this club right here and just let it sit here for 100 years, I bet the grip would suck.
Right.
So it's like that combination of the grips probably sucked and they're super old. You were right. So we realized on the first tee, like it was worse with the golf glove on.
Yeah.
Like you slid worse. So yeah, the grips were tough. I was actually, because you hear a lot about the technology. You look at it. We're TaylorMade guys. We look at the tech behind it and the driver and how big the face is, and you think like, all right, technology allows me to be decent, but like I couldn't actually hit a ball. Like my swing stinks. It just allows me. I was actually impressed overall at how well we were able to hit. Like guys were hitting golf shots in our match.
Yep. Totally.
Yeah, like in the air, like pure iron shots.
Yeah, with like a little divot that like you had to learn. The ball had 0 spin, like 0. Plus we were playing a super old course in Scotland. So 0. I mean, like you had to land it. Even on a chip, you would hit it. You know, if you had a 12-yard chip, you would chip it like 3 yards, it would hit. And then it wouldn't even really, it would just skid and roll like 50 feet. You'd be like, what the fuck? So that part was really, really hard. But yeah, guys were off the tee, somebody would take a nice buttery swing and the ball would, a little like baby cut would fly out there. You'd be like, holy shit. And then there's a couple good iron swings guys put on it with this thing that they didn't even have a number on it. It was like the guy in the shop was like, yeah, that's probably somewhere between like a 6 and a 8 iron. And then you've got like, this thing might be like a longer iron. It didn't even say anything on it. So you're sitting here like 148 out and you're kind of just guessing. Like, I think I'm going to go with that thing that looks like it's not quite a wedge and hit it. And somebody would make a good swing, take a little divot, and the ball would like sail. You'd be like, holy cow, we could actually do it. So I was impressed by that part. Yes, if you put a bad swing on it, the forgiveness was laughable. Like it just would like thud and hurt your hands and the ball wouldn't go anywhere. So you got a little bit of both. But yeah, it was a fun, good, tight match and we could actually hit some golf shots.
And we also played with the rules where if you broke the club, you lost that out of the bag. So at one point, Riggs just snapped his club, and we were just like that. Like they were gonna go like run him out a new one, and we're like, that's not allowed. Like you have to learn how to hit. Like he clearly like hit the wrong side of the shaft, or it was like a bad shot. And it just snapped, and everyone's like, it's over. Like you don't have the spoon anymore.
Riggs snapped it like it was in a golf shot. Like I just took a golf shot from the fairway, and the club just broke in half. Which is a little bit. That's a little unlucky.
Well, but also we were saying like you have to conform to like the clubs. You obviously swung like too hard or whatever. Like that's just not what they would have done 100 years ago. Like they wouldn't have swung that hard or something. Right. He really like went after an iron and it just snapped. And we were just like, it's over. Like that's just the rules.
So I think I then was like the rule that we stated on the first tee is like I was allowed to use my partners, so I could like, use Trent. So I had to like.
And if he broke his, then they were out of spoons for the rest of the round. It was like the second hole. He literally broke his club on the first hole. So we're like, if you guys lose both spoons, it's over. It's like the only way you could chip.
It does make you think like how people who play golf, weekend warriors now, are like, I suck so much at golf. It's so hard. And like, imagine what a 15 handicap was like in 1950, because he was probably like a 30 handicap. And he probably thought golf was just the hardest sport that's anyone's ever conceived of. The game's gotten so much easier in the last 50 years and it's still absolutely fucking impossible.
Right. The tech does carry you a decent amount. You don't realize it until you play with clubs like that, where you're like, oh shit. Like the technology, the ball, the face, the forgiveness, that shit really matters.
It's on the like bad shots, right? Like that's what Riggs was saying, where it's like you hit a good one, it's fine. It's like the bad shots that maybe are off the toe of the driver a little bit, and now they kind of go and maybe they're right rough. Like just doesn't. I mean, I haven't played around, but I would guess you guys, it just doesn't fly at all, right? If you miss the center of the face, it's like it like dribbles.
So I was blown away at how much more doable it was than that. Like I actually thought it was way more doable than I expected. Like I thought we were going to go and everybody's going to make double on every hole. Yeah. And the ball was just going to like fly sideways out of bounds like it was a mud ball every time. And like I said, guys were hitting fucking shots and like making pars. And then the other thing is if you had that exact equipment for the way courses are made now, especially over in the US, it would be really, really, really hard. But the way the golf is over there, like I think Frankie or somebody one time was like 70, 80 yards out. Was like, I'm going to putt this thing. So you could you could putt it around and like just bump it around and have good like par looks and stuff. A pretty easy amount based on that style of golf with that equipment. So I think that almost like, I feel like that would net it out. Whereas if you brought him out to like
TPC Sawgrass, you'd be in trouble.
We played Myrtle Beach, right? Like every course at Myrtle Beach with this equipment, you would have to be one of the great ball strikers on earth back then, or you just wouldn't be able to play the course. Whereas with that exact equipment, the type of course that we played, within a few holes, you started to finagle like, okay, I could just kind of keep this in front of me and like have a chance to win this hole. So yeah, that would be very different. But yeah, it was totally different. The ball didn't go anywhere, so it didn't fly like you said, but it was firm as shit. So somebody would hit like a screamer, like cut like almost on accident with like one of the 3-woods or something, and it would run forever. Be like, oh fuck, that was a bomb. So it's super fun. This was the finale in Scotland. So check that bad boy out. Black Friday. We got Black Friday coming out. We've been teasing a lot of the gear. Big tease effort from Foreplay for the last week or so. We got a bunch of new gear coming out Black Friday. So around midnight Eastern Standard Time on Thursday night. Okay, technically Trent Friday morning, but Thursday night, Eastern.
I kicked it again. I'm sorry.
Let's just fight through it.
Do you always kick a lot during the show that we can't see?
Yeah.
We need to get a camera on your like lower half.
Fidgety. Oh, I'm so excited about Black Friday.
So
really
20% off. All right. We do 20% off. That's the deal. Pretty much site wide. There's a few brands that we are not allowed to discount because they're not discount brands, but basically the whole website, 20% off. So get fired up for that. We got new hoodies. We got pants. We got head covers, hats. We got all kinds of good stuff on there. So Black Friday, Cyber Monday, this will be the last time I can just talk to you before that. Our biggest merchapalooza of the entire year coming up this weekend.
It's as good as it's ever been. We always crush it on Black Friday, Cyber Monday. It's always our best stuff that we put out on sale. But I gotta tell you, man, like this stuff, some of these hats that we're putting out, we finally have a collaboration with Melon, which has been like a year in the works. It's been such a process to get our freaking patches on a Melon hat. And if you don't know anything about Melon, they are expensive hats, but they are so worth it. They've always been like that top tier hat. If you're a hat guy, you know that that's like the number one rated hat that you can get. I remember the first time I was introduced to a Melon hat, we were playing in Minnesota and one of the hockey guys was wearing a Melon hat. He looked so cool wearing it. And then we drove over a very low bridge, like over a pond. He took the hat off and like dipped his hat into the pond as we drove through it and then like put it on his head because it was a 100-degree day. And I'm like, what the hell was that? He's like, dude, this is just it's a waterproof, incredible hat. Like it's made in San Diego for surfers and they wear the hats as they're surfing. Like they wear them backwards. You can go under the water. Like all of their promos are guys jumping into the ocean with the hat on and coming out. Yeah, dude, it's crazy. So it never gets those lines across the front. All these sweaters, these profusely disgusting sweaters, like Dan, who like you have to keep changing. You have to wear like weather gloves just because you can't hold onto the golf clubs. You would thrive in a hat like this because you're sweating so much. You would never, ever, ever see any remnants of it. You walk into the bar later that night, no one would be like, "Ugh, what the hell did you just go through? A sauna?"
You know, it's actually true because sometimes I go to nice golf courses and I'm thinking about, oh, should I buy a hat? And then I think to myself, especially if it's in the summer, this hat's only going to last me like 3 rounds until it's basically disgusting and unwearable. So yeah, you might be spending a little more up front, but that hat's going to last you a long ass time.
It needed the explanation because I think people that don't know what it is, like just go do some research on how good of a hat this is. Like it's crazy how good of a hat it is.
It's actually Alistair. I posted a video of us like, you know, showing the hat, and Alistair, our guy on the Corn Ferry Tour was like, this is a huge deal. He's like, when I'm playing now, I'm wearing these hats. Sweat stains are not going to be an issue. I can't tell you how big of an actual difference this is. That's from a professional golfer. So
and
I
they're
tell you
light
everything you
too.
need to
You
know.
don't feel it on your head. It's wild. It's wild. But we have a lot of good stuff. Obviously, Peter Millar's. Did you guys get the merch package to you that said like a Black Friday exclusive from Peter Millar? Did you guys get those 2 hoodies that were put in?
Mine's at my brother's house waiting for me because I'm going to be there for Thanksgiving.
Dude.
Maybe it's in the mail room.
We're putting out these Black Friday exclusive Peter Millar hoodies that are, I didn't even know Peter Millar made these hoodies. They are fucking insane. It's like a zip up hoodie thing. It's so good. It's crazy.
No, I definitely don't have that.
Oh,
damn.
So gear up, Black Friday. Be ready to go. Get that, get set, stay awake, stay alive. And then, we do sell out of stuff. So I know people are like, oh yeah, I'll just wait till Friday afternoon. We sell out of stuff. That happens every time. People then complain to you, are you going to release more of these? No. If you're not ready at midnight Thursday night, then we might sell through stuff that you want and you're going to miss out. So be ready to go.
And it's a perfect opportunity for the holidays. The holidays are right around the corner. We've been talking about it all episode. Somebody in your family who's a golfer, just get them something from the Barstool store, a golf apparel thing, and you're going to be set for the holidays. So it's a big day for us. It's a big day for everybody, but things will sell out.
And we got these Mack Weldon hoodies, which we were talking about before the show started. This is probably the greatest material that I've ever felt before.
I'm wearing one right now. So are you?
Trent's wearing one. My favorite part about this hoodie is, you put your hands in the little slot kind of by your stomach. These ones have their own slot, so your hands don't rub together during. It's a huge deal because I like to compartmentalize. I like to put my keys in one pocket so they don't scratch my phone. Having the separated pockets where one hand and the other hand, they're not getting cold by touching each other. Unbelievable. Yeah, they're hand pouches. You feel like an NFL quarterback, basically.
You kind of do.
Yeah.
It is like an NFL quarterback.
Store something in there.
I feel like Aaron Rodgers. I'm like,
if you wanted to.
We're doing everything we can to not call it a pocket.
It's a
These
telescope.
little slits in the material that allow you to just put your arms in.
It's a big lens that looks at the light far away.
It's a hidden chamber in the material of clothing.
It's a dungeon for your head.
You ever see what jeans is the brand where they claim that you could put a little condom in it? Is it, you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
Are they Wrangler jeans or? And then like there was like a little compartment in there so that you could maybe put like some powder in there or something, like a little baggie.
Really?
I'm not familiar
For
with
your
this.
skier?
I definitely have
Yeah.
a pairs of pants where there's a little pocket, but I didn't know that it was
Yeah, there's
specifically
all
for
these, like,
condoms or cocaine.
Yeah. I think that's what because everyone's like, why would there be this very
Such a small
minuscule
little pocket.
mini pocket in there? What is that for? And everyone's like,
Well,
yeah, you keep a little baggie in there.
They
throw a
do
little
say
condom
that
in
if
there.
you shouldn't if you're carrying condoms, do not put them in your wallet because over time it'll wear down, and then when you go to use it, it'll break, and that has a whole host of problems. So if you keep it in the front pocket, it's going to get far less wear and tear. So maybe it is a condom pocket or a drug pocket.
We're not selling any of those for Black Friday.
So we don't have any
unfortunately.
condom pockets on our stuff. But anyways, I think other people do make them for, condoms and cocaine and all kinds of fun stuff. Do not break the bank this holiday season. Shady Rays, that's who we're talking about right now. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that gives you the features of $200 shades for a fraction of the price, and a fraction of that price during their biggest Black Friday sale ever. Shady Rays are premium polarized shades. This is what we rock. So a lot of times people ask me in videos that they see, whether it's a foreplay verse video, travel series, whatever, I'm wearing Shady Rays. That's what I wear in all those videos. So when you see the really cool stuff that makes me look awesome, that's Shady Rays. That's what I'm rocking.
Shady Rays are great. And if you're buying $200 sunglasses now, like, so what are you doing? Especially because you listen to this and you play golf all the time, and you're probably like me and you leave them in the cup holder nonstop. So get the $200 quality without spending $200. It's a no-brainer. Shady Rays.
If you're looking to gift Shady Rays for the holidays, the lost and broken coverage transfers to anyone that you gift them to as well. They got a great deal. If you drop them off a cliff, drop them into a lake, they will replace them. Shady Rays are the best holiday gift you've never thought of giving. Act now for their best Black Friday selection, up to 60% off site-wide. That's huge. We're talking 60% off. Redeem only at shadyrays.com, where you can find all their newest and best shades. That's shadyrays.com, up to 60% off site-wide. All right. Getting to some talking points that I've got written down here. I wrote down Happy Thanksgiving. I wrote down the bet. Barstool Scottsdale Bar survived.
Very nice.
Amazing
Special appearance for Mr. Homa, eh?
I was blown away at the line. I got to talk about that. The line at the whole place. I know people were seeing footage and clips and all that. Shocking how many people were out there. They're out there well in advance. There was a huge line at like 7 o'clock. The bar didn't open till 9. And, it's not like they just open and they rush everybody in. They start kind of dripping people through. So that was just, I knew this would be popular. I knew the bar was cool. I had heard a lot of the hype from our business team, from the folks on the side of the company that's kind of running and managing and operating the bar. The hype being that high was cool, whatever. It was way higher than I thought. And I could tell because throughout the week, I got a handful of messages from people, the usual suspects, Todd Martin, Josh Isner, our buddies around. Like, oh, yeah, can I come by Friday night? Sure. Friday evening around like 5 or 6 o'clock, it started to be every person in Scottsdale or in Arizona who I have their phone number, I started to get texts from of like, what's the deal with this bar? Can you get me in? Started getting DMs, started getting everything. It was like, oh, I think the hype's pretty fucking real. And it was real. It was a scene. There were a ton of people there. Yes, Max Homa showed up. Colton Oates showed up. Gary Woodland showed up. He was out there because, amazingly, shout out to our guy Colton Oates. This is his wedding weekend. So he hit me up and was like, yo, am I going to be able to come by on Friday? And I was like, aren't you getting fucking married this weekend? He's like, well, yeah, my wedding festivities will be done by like 10 and then I'm going to come. I was like, Jesus. Okay. So sure enough, on Friday night, he had his, they had like the walkthrough and then the welcome reception cocktail thing for people from out of town and all that. And then him and Gary Woodland and Max, they rolled by at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. They were hanging. It was just one of those things where you kind of had to like work the room. There's like pen people. There's like the sports book people. There's the bar people. There's like, I see Gary Woodland like daps me up and I was like, okay, I got to go. I talked to him for like 4 seconds. I'm like, so there was a lot going on. Biz was there. Chicken Fry was there. O'Malley was there. Danny, who I'd never met, was there. So there's a big crew, that we were kind of laughing. They made us take pictures and we just never met each other before. Biz rolled in, turned the corner, and he had a fucking camera guy with him with like a big light. And he's like handing out their beer. And I look and I'm like, oh, you just have a camera. And so now you got to be on all of a sudden. I did a media hit for Fox 2 News right before the whole thing started. So I was trying to remain calm the whole time. So there's just a fucking million things going on. And then meanwhile, as that happens, of course, every foreplay fan, which there was a ton of Barstool golf gear being worn and merchandise, every foreplay listener ever was trying to buy me a shot. And
let's go. We ruined the night.
Fine. Did a handful of shots, nothing too crazy. We were doing the champagne flutes, which you guys probably saw me and Max do. So it was just an amazing night. I thought a wild success for the bar. They were trying to keep it, you could tell, I guess their first night open. So I imagine that's got to be wildly stressful on their end. Like the conversations, the text groups, the stuff going on behind the scenes had to be wildly different than what you see going on, whatever, front facing, because everybody's just having a good time. So they were trying to not like blow it out too much so that they didn't mess up or screw up or whatever. But there were still a million people in there at some points. And it was a lot of hot action. It was super fun. And the Barstool Scottsdale bar is fucking open now.
I thought you held your own in the picture with Chicken Fry and Biz and everybody, because there was a lot of talk leading up to it that they kind of did you dirty on the flyer. They made you look like Casper the Ghost while the other two looked amazing. But I thought in the actual picture when the group got together, I thought you looked great. I thought you looked really, really good. So that's a win. That's a W.
Thank you.
Black
t-shirt
rigs.
Suck it in hard. I went black on black, which is about as concealing of an outfit as you can go with. Black jeans. Black t-shirt, black hat, just try to not look ridiculous. So thank you. I appreciate that. But that was more of it was a containment effort, more than it was I'm not trying to pop out here. And then, just get through that. There were some points there's a couple different groups, a bunch of the girls that work up at Greyhawk, which I'm up at all the time from the beverage cards bar. They were there, we're hanging, and then within 5 minutes, they're like, is there any way you can just introduce us to Brianna Chicken Fry? And I was like, yeah, we can do that.
Superstar.
So there's just a lot of shit going on. But again, overall, it was super, super fun, successful. I didn't hear any horror stories, which is great. And the buzz around Scottsdale was huge. So it was kind of a surreal moment that, all the three of us have been in that office when it was just half of one floor. And now here we are in Scottsdale, which is west, not in our key demographic, especially when we started out, the Northeast, the strongholds of Boston and New York and Chicago. Here we are in Arizona in the desert. And there was just a line around the city to get into the Barstool bar. Pretty surreal kind of feeling when you were out there.
What time do bars close in Scottsdale? Is it a 2 a.m. spot, 4 a.m. spot?
I think it's 2. I want to say 2. I don't even know because I'm not that kind of guy. I think
What time did you go home on the first
I
time?
don't know. Not sure.
How many shots do you think you did?
Probably one was I did a couple tequila shots pretty early on. I could do tequila shots. I don't mind that. Vodka is where it gets dicey. Just the taste of pure vodka, I despise it. It's just it was my first negative reaction in high school when you drank a lot, and you had that first horrible night where you drank too much, or you puked or whatever. That was vodka for me. So I still have remnants of that. There was one where the guy, come up, big foreplay fan. I'd just gotten through talking to a bunch of different, folks and holding my own. And I got to get back to my crew and hang. And that was right when these couple foreplay guys were there. They're like, Riz, you gonna do a shot with us? I was like, I'm in, let's fucking do it. And they were laughing. And then I was like, what is this? Right at the last second, they're like, it's vodka. And I was like, I can't do vodka. We looked around and it was going to be you have to wait in line there. You'd have to wait in line over here to get another one. And I was just like, nope, I did it. It was a grind. It was all it was peer pressure. It was adrenaline. I got through it, immediately grabbed a beer. And that's what I washed it down with was a beer. So it was, that was the peak of the night where it could have gotten away from me. But overall, I probably did 4 or 5 shots, maybe nothing too crazy. And then
my drink that I can't. My drink that I can't drink like yours is vodka is sake. I had a bad experience sneaking into, one of those Japanese places, 17 years old, fake ID. We all did sake bombs and it was one of those nights where you just drank sake and had just sushi and there was no meat and there was nothing that was containing all of that alcohol. It was just a bunch of raw fish. And I remember just puking all over New York City as just a very thin, pathetic 17-year-old not knowing what the hell's going on. Why am I puking? So every time I drink sake, I still think back to 12 years ago of when I was I thought I was going to die on the streets.
We went hard on flavored vodka early, way too early. And then, so whenever I'm in the same boat.
Stuff.
What's that?
like that apple vodka type stuff that they
It's
had.
like strawberry
Peach
vodka, peach,
Ugh.
like all of that. We went really hard. So I'm in the same boat with vodka. Whenever vodka's around, and like I made clear on last show, I don't really do shots anymore anyway. But anything vodka, especially flavored, I'm like,
Did you guys ever drink Malibu growing up?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I guess rum is kind of where we started because it was so sugary. So we used to have like Captain Morgan's and Coke, and so if I try to drink rum,
do the whole deal, or you take the picture.
Yeah. Oh, that stuff is just the hangovers from rum because of all the sugar are just brutal.
Another thing I wrote down, I was trying to keep notes in real time throughout the night, was the security guys. So we had. The bar has been fucking phenomenal. And they're like, Riggs, text us any names you need. I ended up with like 21 names on the list of like people. It was like Alistair, our boy, his caddy, Brady Calkins, who got his Korn Ferry Tour status with Alistair and his crew. So we had a big crew of guys that I play golf with out here. So we had like our own little section, which at the beginning of the night, they didn't really have anybody guarding it because it wasn't crazy or letting people in slowly, whatever. Well, then by the peak of the night, it was fucking chaos. Everybody's trying to get in there. So they put a security guard on like this little, basically the funnel area between our kind of area where I had my booth and the bottle service and the whole deal and just the main bar area. And at one point, for a while, I'm standing there, and the security guy's like, all right, Riggs, I'm your guy, and we're chatting it up. He's like, you just let me know who should be in and who shouldn't. I'm like, great. Well, then he eventually somebody would be like, two guys would be standing there, and I'd be 4 feet away from them, and he would look at me, point at them, and go, Riggs, what about them? And I'd be like,
put you on the spot.
No. And they're like making eye contact with them, and then they'd just be like, Riggs, come on. And then the security guard would just like kick them out. And then there'd just be two people right behind them. And this would just kept happening the whole night. And I was like, dude, we got to come up with a better system. Like you can't just look at me, point my eyes right in their eyes and be like, should they be allowed to hang out with you? And then I say, no, it just wasn't working. So he dogged me a couple times. So there's definitely some fans out there that I just looked right at them and were like, nope, they can't come over here. But it was super fun. The bar's great. I'm going there this afternoon for a little Sunday football action. So yeah, awesome opening. Pretty surreal stuff from Barstool Sports.
So there's like tables upstairs. Is that kind of what I gathered from that? It's like a little roped off section.
Nice. Great spot.
That's great very spot.
Cool. Okay. World Cup. You guys into the World Cup at all?
Yeah, I got it on in the background over
ceremonies.
I'm watching it. Yeah, I've been watching it while we're recording. They're playing right now. It's second half. I was watching it. It's interesting.
It's funny to watch everyone dance around.
Is it Qatar? Is it Qatar? Is it Qatar? Do we know?
Qatar.
I believe it's Qatar. I thought it was going to be Qatar, and then I was listening to the opening ceremonies and everything this morning. I believe it's Qatar.
Yeah, and they put a little English on. Obviously, it's like Qatar or something like that. Everyone says it a different way on the panel.
I know.
I saw PFT tweet this that like every 4 years you're reminded how much you hate that guy Alexi Lawless. Just his smug attitude toward like he knows soccer and no one else, even on the panel, knows soccer the way he does. He talks about the American team like they're this juggernaut. Like it's one of the craziest things. And they always show that photo of him from when he looked like an absolute lunatic. Like he was like a Renaissance man with like the red hair going all over the place, the longest beard. And you just get these ridiculously condescending tones from him as he speaks about football that I watch him with a rage in my stomach. I really do. No disrespect to him. There's just something about it. It's like every 4 years you're reminded, just like, you're right, Alexi, I know nothing about this sport. And like everything's fucking a joke to you. So I don't know. It's like, let's just watch this game.
I also think there's something kind of uniquely douchey about someone saying football in an American accent.
It's crazy.
That's when he's like, we've got to play better football. And you're like, you just sound like an idiot, dude.
Yeah.
He doesn't
just
know
say
what
soccer.
Football is, Alexi. Football is king, and it's not what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a big World Cup guy. I'm a big soccer guy. I did think there's a lot of propaganda that's rolling out slowly. I don't know if you guys have been like paying attention at all, but there's some of these ads about Qatar, about like how you should bring your business there. And it's like, do you really think that there's going to be people in the US who are watching this and think, okay, I'm going to bring my business to Qatar now?
Yeah, I mean it's live golf on steroids right now. It's like it's on a world stage. Obviously, all these atrocities and human rights, they're just getting completely overlooked for the fact that they built an incredible stadium made out of shipping containers. Did you guys see that? It's the world's first portable stadium that they'll be able to just pick it up and bring it to the next one.
Really?
Yeah. So all the actual structure is made out of shipping containers. So like underneath what looks like a tent. So like basically their whole style is a tent because of it's like whatever. It's like their culture thing. It looks like the tent that they grew up in. I was watching the whole video in the morning.
You grew up
beneath
in tents?
that.
They don't have houses over there?
Well, I think it's like the cultural yeah. I think each like family has like this sort of tent with like the type of like carpentry on the inside. So the stadium looks like that on a massive scale. It's incredible. But beneath the outside of the tent is just pipes and shipping containers underneath all the steps. It's like that's how they got the structure. There's no concrete. It's all just removable and movable stuff. It's incredible. It's like the first of its kind.
I don't know if this is a Midwest thing, but occasionally on the highway you would see houses being shipped from town to town on big semis.
Yeah.
Totally. I don't know if that's something you guys saw growing up, but there would just be every once in a while there would be a lead guy and a follow guy, and he would kind of clear everybody out, and these houses would be shipped to town. A
little yellow wide load banner on the front and back.
It kind of reminds me of that a little bit.
Did I see $200-something billion build out for this thing? I think I saw.
It's an outrageous number. And I mean, the opening ceremonies was incredible. And Morgan Freeman out there wearing like all black, talking about like uniting the world. It was insane. It was like one of the more surreal things I've ever seen. But and PFT is he's always a great follow on Twitter, but him talking about like how outrageous this is, and like like the leader of Qatar is like just sitting there, like he was like weeping as like the first kick was like going on. Meanwhile, he's like the worst person on the planet.
Are PFT and the Wonton Don going?
I
don't know if that's been a joke.
I can't tell either.
I never know with them. The Nick, the KBs, the PFTs, I can never tell when they're on a joke or if they're actually. Yeah,
I wouldn't surprise me in the least to see the Wonton Don go over there.
No, for sure not. But there's no beer. Right? Did you see they announced 2 days before the first opening game that they're just not going to be serving beer except for in the suites?
Anheuser-Busch paid $75 million to be their presenting sponsor,
and like, what?
Beer sponsor, and they can't. Yeah, you guys should watch the FIFA documentary on Netflix if you haven't watched it about the corruption, about how it actually got to Qatar. It is laugh out loud funny. The corruption.
I might need to watch it after. I need to watch it after. I don't know if I want it to affect my viewing this week.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair because it's going to make you look at this thing like a farce. But there are some FIFA executives that are just some of the most corrupt, brazenly corrupt people that you could ever imagine. To the point where you're looking around like, how is this real? How did this actually happen?
People hate FIFA, right? Isn't that like the least fucking organization ever?
Because there's this executive committee that they just basically just sold their votes. They're like, you pay me $5 million, I'll vote for you. You pay me $7 million, I'll vote for you. It was that brazen.
There's rumors on Twitter that that Qatar paid Ecuador $8 million to throw the game today, and they just everyone was like waiting to see what was going to happen, and then I guess they just didn't take the deal because like the first 3 minutes a goal was scored, but then it was taken back by VAR
by like a really sketchy VAR too.
Yeah, it was I will say as Qatar, like they scored a goal in Qatar, and everyone's like, oh my god, and then they're like, nope, no goal, and everyone's like, here we go, it's happening.
Yes. Not a great start for the World Cup for a casual viewer like me, because I watch that replay and I think goal 100 times out of 100. So for them to take that back, it kind of took the wind out of my World Cup sails. And then the same guy scored, a few minutes later, so it wasn't as big of a deal. But yeah, the VAR, I see the guys who are into soccer that are in the Barstool universe that I follow, they hate VAR for whatever reason. And I'm sort of with them because I get that maybe they made the right call. I don't know. But when you watch it in real time, that looks like a goal. Like it didn't look like offsides to me. But I don't know shit.
That's so hypocritical because we've argued about how you want like replays and like the right call in all the other sports. What were we arguing about? Where you're like, I love
strike zones.
Strike zones. He wants robot umpires.
Well, I want him to get it right.
VAR is literally scientifically like as right as you can get. The guy's shoelace was offside today.
Yeah. I just didn't understand it. I was like,
but you're saying like you're into the moment. It looked like a goal. You're watching the World Cup. That's the same thing with me with the World Series. Like if a guy like paints the outside black and like the whole crowd's going crazy and the catcher like brought it back in, it's a strike 3. Like that's a fucking strikeout. But you're gonna tell me the robots like actually it's a slither. It's like the cunt hair off the fucking.
I guess the
plate.
difference for me right now is that I
dropping a hard C
don't know enough about soccer. Like I know what a strike zone is, and when it's so bad in baseball and it's way outside and everybody knows it, and it's like, fuck, that was tough. In soccer, I guess I don't really know what I'm looking at. I don't know what I don't know the technical definition of offsides. Apparently,
I think like what like Zaha hates is like it takes moments away like that. Like you're explaining, like they're fucking amazing.
Bad calls
rush.
are part of sports. I think
like they did it. It looked good to all the referees that are getting paid money to like call the game. They thought that was onside, and then no, like. They have to take like it's like heat sensors now in VAR. Have you seen like the replay?
I mean, they did this morning, they basically reanimated the play.
Yes,
digitally.
And his toe was on,
and his kneecap was on the other side of him.
While
like,
running like 15 miles an hour, like he was sprinting. So like the fact that your knee led, like your kneecap led just a little bit further than the rest of your body is just insane.
Pretty nuts.
And the fact that they don't have that technology for football, where we can't just see if the ball crossed the plane. I mean,
well, the thing I don't understand in American football is how they don't have.
That's what I'm saying. How do they?
How they don't have a camera on both sides of the end zones? Have you ever noticed how some stadiums just like will only have one view? What are we doing here? That's crazy to me.
But also,
I don't even care if you get the call right. I just want to see it on TV. I just want to see I want to see it for myself. Oh, I just want to see it for myself.
All right.
I just think they can have a sensor on the ball that can find out if the ball crossed the pylon, if the ball went into the end zone, and like they show a replay and it's you can't see between the guys. Like let's just cut through those guys the same way that Qatar just cut through everybody else.
Do you guys see the press conference from the FIFA president guy?
Yes.
Oh my dude, there's a part. It's super. I even saw like who
I feel like a migrant worker.
The Washington Post described it as like bizarre or whatever. There's a part in there where he goes like, I am European. I am Arab. I am disabled. And he's going through to it. And
oh man.
He goes, I am LGBT. He goes, I am a migrant worker.
Okay.
He said I am a migrant worker.
Dude, he did it like he did it drawn out. Like he would wait 15 seconds before he would go into another one. So he's like, I am migrant worker. And everyone in the press conference is just quiet. Like, well, no, I mean, no, you're not. You're like the president. And then he would just sit there silent. He's looking around and he goes like, I am gay. It was unbelievable.
It's too much.
It's also just not, and none of it's true.
Yes, none of those
like
things.
Factually,
I get what he's trying to do, but like you're not, you're a corrupt piece of shit. Like that's, we're asking you about that. Why are you talking? Like, why are you saying these things? It was not.
He could say I stand with, but like,
yes, I am.
Yeah, I literally am.
This is my favorite thing I saw. You gotta watch it.
It's like an SNL bit.
It was crazy. All right, moving on. Bryson DeChambeau. So Bryson had some comments about. So he lost 20 pounds last month or so. He came out and basically self-admitted that bulking up into the Incredible Hulk golf version was not healthy. He said, I had such huge mood swings from it. I look like I'm 20 again, not 35. I ate things that were not great for my system. I was very sensitive to, and ultimately it got to the point where it was a little bit too much. I ate improperly for almost a year and a half, and I was starting to feel weird. My gut was all messed up. So I went completely healthy and went on a Whole30 diet, got a nutritionist. I was super inflamed. Now, the obvious thing to say is like, oh, yeah, who didn't see that coming? Whatever. A couple things I want to say is, one, actually impressed that Bryson admitted this because I felt like he would just double down forever and be like, I was right, but I'm changing because there's new science or something like that. And then the second part of that is how bummed out I am because Bryson, as the Incredible Hulk, hitting tee shots at Bay Hill, trying to drive par fives. When he hit that first tee shot at the Ryder Cup and he drove the green and made eagle, it was like going fucking nuts. I'm going to miss that. That's like one of the great redeeming qualities about Bryson is how preposterous he is and how that he's just going to look normal and not like the Incredible Hulk with a golf club in his hands. I'm bummed out about, but probably better for his long-term health.
Do we think
that Bryson got a U.S. Open out of it?
Yeah, true. Do you think that Bryson has changed his like outlook on what he sees his everlasting image to be? I remember when he was like the young guy on the PGA Tour, he was always saying that like he's going to change the game of golf because of his one length irons, and like this is going to allow kids that are growing up to like learn the game better, and it's going to be more affordable, and they're not going to have to make all these adjustments to clubs and as you grow up. But whatever, he had all these reasonings, and he was like, I'm going to change the world. I mean, he told us at one point, like, I think I'm going to change the game of golf as it's ever been played and will ever be played. Now that he's on live and he's already gone through this whole entire bulking season thing and he's trying the long drive competition, like, do you think he's just given up on being like the savior of future golf? Like what do you think Bryson is seeing himself in his image for the next half of his career? I think it's changed dramatically.
He sees himself, I think, as like a dreamer and like a tinkerer who will always have his little rabbit hole that he's chasing down. So I think the distance, the single length irons, all the science stuff, that was the first one. The distance stuff, something else. I know now he wants to use all that and live money to build like a multi-sport training facility he was talking about in Dallas, where he wants to create like a hub for the community to be active. I just think he's one of these guys who I have
he's a phase guy. He's a phase guy.
I was just going to say he's a phase guy.
He jumps in deep, man.
Yeah. And I have a friend who's the same way. Every time you see him, it's like, what's up? He's like, yeah, I've been meditating for 3 hours every day. You're like, oh, that's new. And then next time you see him, he's like, yeah, I'm vegan now. Just one of those guys who's just bouncing around from thing to thing.
Yep.
That's what makes him tick. Tiger's that way. Tiger goes through phases, different swing coaches. He becomes obsessed with shit and then moves on. I feel like Bryson's just obsessed with shit and then he moves on. He's obsessed with something different. And that's fine. That's cool. But what hurts him is he goes all in. And you're thinking like, wow, this is just who he's going to be forever. And then he's like, yeah, it didn't really work out. Or, I actually found something different. And then you're kind of like, well, there's all these clips you talking about how like anyone who doesn't do this is crazy.
It hurts him, but it's also that willingness to go that deep that makes him successful. Like the distance thing, I would argue worked. I mean, it worked to the point where he got a U.S. Open and he changed Rory McIlroy's approach to distance for a little while. Like that works. Now he has abandoned it and he will find something new within the next couple of months and he will go all in on that. And then maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, and he'll just leave it behind. And I agree, he's a phase guy, hard phase guy. By the way, Dan, the thing that you described, the hub that he wants to create, he just wants to create a CrossFit hub somewhere and like get people more active. That's very bizarre, but it's very Bryson.
It's like a driving range / gym / he called it a multi-sport complex.
Innovative. No, all of his chapters of his career they've been chaotic, they've been quick, but they have been successful. Each chapter as he's gone through, even wearing the hat was like extremely successful for his brand and his image, and like that was like a very quick thing too. Then he went on to just wearing like a big P on his head and just a flat brim. Like he completely changes everything every couple years. But they're all successful. He's never really missed. Like even going to live, like guy made a shit ton of money. Everything about his career has been a huge success compared to every other golfer on the planet. He's like the top 0.1% of the guys that have done it, like the way he's done it.
And it makes him super interesting.
Yeah.
People, because he's unlike that ability to dive so deeply into things that are not normal, quote unquote. Like nobody else, I don't do that. I do the same thing every single day. And I say I'm going to change. I end up doing the same thing every single day. He says I'm going to change, and then he actually does.
If we did a 4-play specific PIP, I bet there's a chance Bryson would be the second most talked about golf individual in the history of our show.
Besides Tiger?
Yeah. I would say it's not even close. It's Bryson.
I'd say it's not even close.
Yeah. Right? I mean,
he's been a gift to all of us.
There was a phase last year, or like for a year, it was every week there were like 2 or 3 new key storylines. He's spritzing golf balls. He's 1 million pounds. He's banging his head against the fucking grandstands on the driving range. Like there was every week the Brooksy stuff. Like, holy fuck, he's got to be number 2, and I think it's probably not even close.
I think one of the crazy things when we look back on this Bryson chapter in a couple years is the fact that he convinced unknowingly Rory McIlroy to like try to be like him. Crazy. And we look at Rory McIlroy now, and he's like the conscience of the PGA Tour. And we look at Bryson DeChambeau, and he's talking about how, yeah, it turns out eating 8 protein shakes a day is probably not great for your gut health. There was a period of time there when Rory McIlroy in his mansion in Jupiter, Florida, with his beautiful wife and his beautiful, was looking at Bryson, grunting and screaming and swinging out of his shoes, and said, I gotta try it. I gotta try it. And he gave it a good effort. And he even said, he was like, look, I was watching Bryson and I went down some rabbit holes that I shouldn't have gone on. The fact that Rory did that is wild. The fact that he looked at Bryson and said, give me some of that.
And when he was probably the last guy on the planet who needed to do that.
Right.
In terms of driving the golf ball. He didn't need to. He wasn't a Kevin Kisner out there who was like, I need more distance. I need to get in the 300s. He was like, I'm already at the top and I want to go even further. He had Tony Finau bringing the club all the way back. Bryson had people going crazy. And now he's abandoned it. But again, he got his U.S. Open, so it worked.
Do you hate missing out on rewards?
Yes.
Sure you do. I do. Everybody does. You should try Curve. Curve is a unique credit card which helps you maximize your rewards effortlessly. We like not to give effort. That's a big part of our podcast. We talk a lot about that. And we like to get rewards without having to utilize or exert any effort whatsoever. So rather than adding another card to your wallet, walking around with a giant wallet in your back pocket or your front pocket or whatever you keep it in your pockets, Curve combines all your credit cards into one. You can then pre-select what kind of payments get charged to which card, so you never miss out on any rewards. That is genius, correct? You'll also earn 1% cash back on everything you buy for 6 months. You get $20 in Curve cash once you've downloaded the app through curve.com/barstool, opened an account, and made a first transaction. Curve card is powered by Hatch Bank. Terms and conditions apply. Get the Curve card. It's one card. You sync it up. You select specific rewards that you would like for certain purchases, whether it's a burrito or it's a set of sleeve of golf balls or a new pullover, or you're on the Barstool store. Curve card, powered by Hatch Bank, $20 back in Curve cash through curve.com/barstool. People will enjoy this little peek into what time we're recording, because our friend Callum Tarrant is the solo leader right now at the RSM Classic. He's 16 under through 11. We got Seamus Powers, 15 under, Cole Hammer, Lingmerth, Smalley, Harmon, bunch of guys at 14. Joel Damon's at 13. But imagine our dude Callum Tarrant from the 3M up in Minnesota, who we love, just winning all of a sudden after that fantastic. We only had him on for like 15, 20 minutes, and he was fucking phenomenal. And then obviously we had him on a few months later. But yeah, that'd be fun if he held on. I think our
of the PGA Tour events to win, I think this is sneaky one of the best ones, because it's right before the time off, and it's right before Thanksgiving. True. You get this win, you're one of these guys from the Korn Ferry Tour, you're like, holy, I'm in the Masters next year.
Right.
You're like, I'm safe for 2 more years. And I got Thanksgiving with the family now.
Dude, I'm a little bit bummed because we came up with this revolutionary idea to talk about betting on golf on Tuesday show before the tournament starts instead of Thursday in the middle of the tournament. And then now there's just not really PGA Tour golf for like months. I mean, there's the Hero next week, little stuff here and there, but it's really not, you know.
Right.
It's a bummer.
We're hearing from behind the scenes that are like, the gambling thing was great. It did really well. Keep doing it. And we can't.
We're going to go on break. We're going to go on break for a couple months.
That's very us to have that happen.
Just foreplay, man. Nobody does it better than the squad there. Unbelievable. Anybody getting anything decent this last weekend? Anybody do anything fun?
Yeah, I played some golf. I asked a bunch of my buddies to be my. So I asked a bunch of my buddies to be at my wedding party. Sorry, Dan, you didn't make the cut. But
I was waiting for my handwritten note.
No, but it was a fun day. I had them all out, so it was hard to like get them to all come play a 28-degree round of golf. Like it was 33 with a wind chill of like that got it down to like 25. And I'm like, yeah, like a couple weeks ago, I'm like, I want to have like one final round at Colonial, you know, like just go all out. We'll have a bunch of drinks, get dinner inside the clubhouse, get the fire going. Let's just play. And they're like, oh, why can't we play this weekend? It was like 70 degrees last weekend. I'm like, I just like want to get everyone together on the same day. They're like, is your brother-in-law coming? I'm like, yeah, my brother. He's like, he never golfs with us. I'm like, it's all right. We're just going to do a whole thing. Like, everyone's going to be there. And I had my boy Brian Axelrod from Jersey. It's like, he's like, why are we golfing this morning? Like, let's go bowling or something. Like, what are we doing? Like, it's insane. This is insane. The wind was whipping. And finally, so I walk him into the clubhouse right before we play, and I had the whole thing set up. I got him Peter Millar scripted outfits, just like we get for the Thursday through Sunday when we watch the major. So it had all their names, a ribbon. Each guy got a different thing with like a shirt, collared shirt, hoodie, and pants. It was awesome. They were very, very excited. So then once I gave that to them, I said, okay, now that you've all said yes and we're having fun, like if you guys don't want to go golf, we don't have to. But they were so jacked up that we went out there, and man, it was a fun round. Like when you're braving the elements like that, it's almost like that's the most fun part. Like watching guys like swinging and missing, and like their hands are cold, and we're all like drinking bourbon, and like that, like the golf meant nothing. Like when you finally hit a good shot, you went crazy. Like it was just about surviving and like laughing about how cold it was. So we made it through all 18 holes. Big Rob. Yeah, I've talked a lot about Big Rob, and he just always delivers. This guy, there's nobody like this guy. He's a 6'6", absolute mammoth of a human being, hair falling out, teeth falling out in his sandwiches, always has a story, steps up to the 18th tee at Colonial, water's on the right, wind is whipping. He made like a birdie coming in. The guy's the worst golfer for the amount of golf he's played on the planet, pound for pound, the worst golfer. Like he's played so much golf in his life. And to be able to not hit the ball the way he does, it's insane. Trent made a face.
Might be your boy.
You're getting there. And it is getting crazy.
I'll give him a run at that title. But
we got to at least talk about the possibility that you're in the conversation.
Yeah,
you're
sure. In the conversation. You're in the top 10 for sure. You probably play the most golf for someone that hasn't broke 90. That's got to be.
That's what the mentions say.
That's got to be in the conversation, right?
Comment section seems to agree with that.
And Robbie just swings and misses. There was a. I would say that if you gave me 1,000 chances to try and replicate that ball falling off the tee like that with a full swing, I don't think I'd ever be able to do it. I'd either swing and miss, or I would just hit it better. You know what I mean? I just can't. You can't take a swing like that and just have it tip off the tee like that. So amazing time. Went to a cigar shop here in my town. We just like stumbled into the cigar shop. Coolest place ever, man. Like pool table, cigars, like TVs. That's all you really need in this life is just like playing pool and just watching TV.
I see you becoming a big cigar guy, like a Steve Wilkos situation.
I enjoy it, man. I'm not going to get that crazy because like you walk in the house and like I had to change like outside in the garage because like
smell just sticky as hell.
Like everyone that's walked into the house since has been like, oh, it stinks in here because we had 7 guys come back to the house all reeking like cigars. Makes me think, how the fuck do you work in a cigar shop? Like, is that your life? Like you just smell like a chimney 24/7? Because there's no way of getting away from it.
I think that happens.
I think it just becomes a part of your personality.
Dude, I realized this year I get kind of fucked up from cigars.
Big time.
Yep. Yeah.
Lightheaded,
like,
dizzy.
Fucked up from, like I had a stint there. We had the whole Macanudo thing going on where I really was into the cigar. We had a couple trips we did where we were rocking cigars. I really didn't notice it that much. Then this year, for whatever reason, pretty much every time I've had one, I get like, I almost get like the spins. I just like can't handle a fucking cigar.
Yeah,
it's very reminiscent when I used to try dipping as like an early 20s guy. Makes sense because it's all tobacco. But that first like 20 minutes with a cigar you feel fucked up and it's really nice. And then you start to spiral a little bit.
Totally,
and you get the spins and you kind of feel like you're gonna throw up. And I do think our bodies just aren't used to it because we're not big cigar guys. But I bet if you do it enough, I'm sure it would go away. But I don't do it enough. So every time I do it, I'm on Pluto.
Yeah,
dude, that's exactly.
Zin's kind of ruined that for me. The cigars don't mess me up as much as I wish they did.
Well, you're a big tobacco user.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
I enjoy it.
Actually, technically not tobacco. There's no nicotine. There's no tobacco in Zins. It's actually.
I enjoy like going up to the glass and seeing like you act like you know what you're talking about. You're like, oh, that one looks kind of nice. Like you go based off the colors and the names and the logos. And at this kind of place, it's kind of like a club. So the guys there all knew what they were talking about, and they had all these amazing cutters and these ridiculous lighters that could legit burn your face off. Like it was like you basically stepped on something and a gas flame shot out all the way head high, and you're just like sitting there like, oh shit. And then you realize you don't really know how to smoke it because like I kept going over and relighting it, and all these older guys are sitting in these chairs watching me pass them from the pool room to like where I had to go light it, and they're like, dude, like how is that thing out already? You know what I mean?
Next time you got to take a Bic with you and just keep it.
I know it was bad. You know what I'm talking about? Though when you have to keep lighting it and everyone's looking at you like, Jesus, dude.
Every time. I do like the coolness of it. I like cutting it and lighting it and like holding it and that part's very cool. I wish they didn't fuck me up as much because it makes me afraid of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's that's why cigarettes were the thing back like when our parents were growing up. It was like Joe Camel and was like sitting up against a wall. It's the coolest look of all time. So now
cigarettes
you take
cool.
But now you take a cigar and it's even
still cool.
It's even more cool. It's like bigger. It's more puff. It's just like everything about it's just like it's a cigarette on steroids. So yeah, it's the coolest look ever.
What's the status of Cuban cigars? Are we back with Cuba or are they still not okay?
Well, I think when we had the Macanudos partnership, they told us that essentially all of these big brand cigar companies have brought over the best like rollers and people from the Cuban industry to now.
It's like baseball.
They've now just they've incepted now every single like cigar can be as good. That's kind of like the explanation they gave us.
We're pretty cool with Cuba now. You can go to Cuba.
That's what I thought.
I know a girl went to Cuba. One of my college friends. She went to Cuba like what is it, like Havana?
Havana is the capital city.
She went there like within a year after they, lifted it for the first time in however many decades. And a bunch of pictures. It looked fucking awesome. So I think we're a bunch cooler. We're in a better place with Cuba.
Did the MLB do like opening series there or like spring training there? Yeah, recently.
A little sport diplomacy, baby.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. That's funny, Frankie. I remember so this last Thursday we were playing out at Greyhawk. It was like 4:45. You had about 45 minutes more of daylight. It was like 66 degrees. The shadows were just like draping across the back nine on the Talon course. And one of my buddies was like, how about there's people out there right now that are just millions of them in like 25-degree weather that are like, well, I just could never imagine not living in the seasons. And we were out there and it was just absolutely perfect out there. But we used to do up at Granite Links, we did a silly season. God, what do we call it? Call it something crazy. But people do like the ice bowl, all kinds of golf like that. And that is incredibly fun because you're all just rallying around how ridiculous it is. And not really giving a fuck about the golf. So yeah, I loved the Big Rob. I liked that you kind of gave it a little bit of the lurch water skiing treatment occasionally. I think you hit him with like Titanic, which was really good.
I got more responses from that than anything I've ever put up. Like just every athlete that follows me, like Kyle Rudolph was going crazy. I think JJ Watt liked it, was like talking to me about it. Just every guy that possibly could have followed me on Instagram responded being like, there's no way this guy just did that. First of all, he takes a practice swing and then doesn't move closer to the ball. Did you notice that? So he takes a full practice swing. We all go, whoa, as he does it, and then just addresses the ball from the same stance. It's like the craziest thing ever. So then to cap off my weekend, just real quick, I went to a bar last night and ran into my high school golf coach, Coach Reynolds, East Meadow High School. And we had just like the longest talk. We've always kept in touch. He always texts me like how proud he is, how insane this is. And we really got talking. And I was like, man, aside from like my grandfather and my dad and Tiger Woods, you had to have been like the most influential part of like what I ended up becoming and like and me loving the game of golf, because like without him, I really think that he instilled like wanting to get better at the game and also made it a lot more fun than I always thought it was. So like I loved playing with my dad, and it would always be like a big moment when you went in golf. But then playing high school golf was something totally different. It's like, let's actually try and get good, as opposed to like making it feel like it's a lucky, like big moment when you're going out there. That's what it always was with my dad. But then now all of a sudden it's like you're playing every day. Coach Reynolds is like working on your swing. It was insane. And like it gave you that like itch. And we're talking, and he was just like getting emotional. I'm like, this is like the coolest shit of all time. We're like watching the Islanders lose, and I'm a lunatic going crazy, and then going back into like a crying conversation. But no, it was a lot of fun. And also like he was telling me his side of the story. He was coaching wrestling and he was coaching like football, and then he needed something in the fall, but it was basically golf was in the same season as baseball at East Meadow High School. And so my freshman year, I didn't play golf. I just played baseball. It was the same season. So Coach Reynolds needed something to do in the fall. So he petitioned to have golf move to the fall, because he thought that a lot of the baseball players wanted to play. And when he did that, we all went over and played golf, and he got me and my 6 boys that like, we all went from baseball to golf, and he got us all addicted to it, because like we never even would have thought of it. It would have been the thing that everyone kind of has. Like, you played golf a little bit growing up, and that is what it is. But without that move for him, we never play. So yeah, it's an amazing to see people from your childhood that like sculpted your path to where you are. And it's so, like, when you think about like teachers and coaches, how like selfless it is that they put all this time and effort into it, and it ends up making a difference in people's lives. It's really incredible. So it was really fun to see him.
It is pretty wild to think about like lives people choose to live that are just almost purely selfless.
Yeah,
like that guy's life, coaching, teaching, those types of gigs are like, their whole life is just about improving other people's lives. Mm-hmm. And you get so caught up like the rat race, or, you know, there's all chatter about billionaires and people making money just for themselves and all the bullshit. It's like, oh yeah, somebody like that coach affected your life. Like, your life without him, there's probably no way you're here, like in this spot, doing what you're doing. Right. And that's like that for hundreds or thousands of people that he's been involved in.
That's what I was going to say, is how many people, because like you feel like you have these relationships with your teachers and then you're gone. And then there's another grade and another grade and another grade. And they've really like impacted so many lives. And then you see them on Facebook or something and you send them a message and then they're just like, yeah, they probably get a smile out of it. And then they move on to the kids that they're changing their lives now. It's very cool.
I could sense that me telling him that story, you could see his like face changing and being like, wow, man, like, probably didn't recognize that this was happening when I was coaching, and now like seeing, like he says he watches me as if like I'm one of his kids. Like, he sees me on like golfing at Carnoustie. He's like, dude, like, what? He's like, what? Like, we played Eisenhower White every day, and now you're like playing Carnoustie and you're playing with like Rory McIlroy in a one club challenge. Like, I couldn't even get you to like hit a wedge shot in 10th grade. This is insane. This is insane. Like, what happened? So yeah, it was very, 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 very cool. So shout out to all the teachers and coaches. Perspective.
Shout out. Teachers and coaches. All right, boys. Well, we got Webb Simpson coming up next. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Excited to have him on. First time ever. We've had a lot of contact, so excited to hear some stories, chit chat with Webb, and then excited for Thanksgiving. So everybody gear up for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Barstool Classic Championship. We got obviously a little week of holidays and chilling, and then we're right back at it with a bunch of stuff coming up. So
before we finish, we have to talk about what we're doing. On the Breaking 90 side, just because it's Thanksgiving doesn't mean that this ship stops. Doesn't mean that this train slows down.
Where are you guys going?
Trent, what's going on this week?
We're going to Georgia, baby. We're going to see our guy Tillery. Yeah, the reason we're recording on Sunday is because Frankie and I are traveling early Monday morning, heading back down to Georgia, which I'm sure will please a lot of people. Yep. We're going back down there. I've been talking back and forth with JT, being like, I got to come back down there. He's like, dude, I've been watching. Just come down here. We're going to get this thing figured out. Don't worry about it. And this time, Frankie's coming with us. I think it's a good idea for Frankie to come because obviously you're the guy who plays the most golf with me and sees the most flaws and the most errors in my game. So to be able to bring you and have you talk to Tillery, because, you know, when I'm down there, I mean, he watches the videos, but I'm not going to be completely forward with all my flaws. I'm a human being. I want to be like, things are going pretty good. I'm in the mid 90s pretty consistently. We just got to clean up a couple of things. And Frankie Borelli's going to kick down that door like the Kool-Aid man and be like, there's so much wrong with this guy's golf game that we got to fix. So I think it's going to be very beneficial for Frankie to come with us. We're going to go down there for 2 days. We're going to do a bunch of training. Just like the last couple of times we've done it. I'm very excited to get back down there. I'm very excited to see John Tillery. We're going down there and we're going to get this thing figured out. We are not stopping. Just because the weather's turning doesn't mean this thing's going to slow down. We're going to do what we have to do to get me under 90.
And we're getting back to what the roots of the series is. It's like, can a guy get better at the game of golf and break through this threshold that he hasn't been able to break through yet? Like, this is what breaking 90 is. It's like trying to get better, not just keep attempting it. So I'm really, really happy that we're doing this. You're going to become a better golfer from it. We also are going to, we're going to do an actual round of breaking 90 after the lesson. So I think you're going to break it. Like, fresh off a lesson with JT, you're going to be playing the best golf you've ever played up until that moment. I think for sure you're going to have it just all in your head. We're going to play the best, most smartest game of golf that you've ever played. And I think we break it in the next episode. So we're going to do one episode of a lesson, and then we're going to do one episode of the attempt. And I think the series is over from there. I really, really think he's going to do it.
Let's go. That fires me up.
Trent, are you feeling enormous pressure when you play these rounds of golf at this point?
It is getting to that point, and I think it's a little unfortunate in a couple of ways, or at least one way, where breaking 100 was we had so much fun, and the videos you can see where it's just pure joy. It's that new car where we're going to try to improve for real for the first time, and it's all joy, and we have a lot of fun with it. And I think breaking 90 started that same way, and we are now getting to the point where I feel the pressure, and people can see it. I'm pretty sure where they're like, "Hey man," even my dad will text me like, "You just gotta relax, dude. You just gotta just chill out a little bit," because I am pushing. I'm pushing. I'm pressing because I want to do it so badly. And I got people in my ear all the time, DMs, tweets, comments where they're just like, you got to do this. You got to do this. You got to do this. And I have been probably pressing a little bit too much these last couple episodes, and I get so frustrated. So yeah, there is pressure to it now. And I'm very excited to see JT because he's such a cool customer that he'll be like, shut all that noise out. Talk to me. Let's work on a few things. Get your mind right. Get your game right. And let's go out there with a fresh perspective. But to answer your question, yes, I have been feeling the pressure, and I'm sure people have seen it.
Makes it way harder, man. Makes it way harder.
I'm looking for the there was a comment. I mean, people love this series so much. Like there's a million comments on the last video that we put out, but there was someone every single time writes Trent's scores, his official scores. I don't know if Brendan back there has a list of what he's shot so far, but when you read them, it's insane that the series is called Breaking 90. When he finally officially does it, it's going to be the craziest thing of all time. So to sit there and act like he's supposed to do it every time, like people are getting mad and they're getting angry, the day he does do it, the series is over. That's how insane of an accomplishment it's going to be. So when you read through his list, it's like 97, 96, 94, 92, 95, 95, 94, 97. Like, those are legitimate attempts to try and do the one thing he's been trying to do his whole entire series, is like break 90 once. It's not like he's shooting 112s or 110s or 105s. This guy's right there. A 94 is like one bad hole. It's like a bad drive behind a tree that he made a 7 on. It should have been a 3.
Also like he's trying to post a score that is like 15 to 20 shots lower than when we started this whole franchise.
Yes. Bro, the first attempt, Brookville, when we saw Joey LaCava, actually, I shot a 122.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're playing golf too. I think that's what people really need to is like there's no mulligans, there's no gimmies, there's no take twos. Like you know that when you break 90, you'll be able to rest easy knowing that you actually broke 90.
Well, that was something that came out of breaking 100 where people were saying people will critique and be like, you got to do this, you got to do this. And then other people would comment to them being like, you guys don't understand that he's playing ball and hole. You understand it, but you got to really zero in on what that means. Because most people, the majority of people, do not play ball and hole.
Almost nobody.
The pros do it during tournaments, and it's slow as fuck, and it just nobody does it because you don't have to. That's not really a part of it. And you're probably shaving 5 to 7 strokes around. So if you're saying that you're shooting in the mid 80s, you're probably the low 90s. So then bring it to me. I do it every round. We do it on camera, and it's a hard thing to do. And I have been getting frustrated, but I'm really trying.
So someone actually commented and they're so into it. It's got to be so hard because golf is so mental, and it's like you hate yourself more than you hate anything else in the game. And the fact that everyone's watching this guy and breaking down his own game like this and getting angry at him is insane. But this one guy pulled some stats, and I don't know the validity of this, but he basically wrote where the breakdowns of where Trent in his last attempt messed up, and it was penalties 0. So he had no out of bounds, no water balls, which is really, really good.
Yeah, it is.
3 putts, he only had 2 through a whole round of 18, which is, pretty good. That's really good on hard greens. Now I'm trying to think back, is that correct? You only had 3 3-putts?
I putted really well the last round.
Wow. So then he's saying average driving distance was 192 based off of what he saw. And that's just got to be further. We only played from 6,000 yards. So that's something we have to work on with JT is getting further off the tee. You have the ability to do it. You've done it before. Your furthest one in this round was 220, he claims, and your shortest was 155. A 155 leaves us with no chance to ever hit a green in regulation. You know what I mean? We're eliminating the idea of ever having an easy par putt. Then he's saying you had 7 shots that were probably duffs, either tops or a wedge went nowhere. And those are 7 shots that we can eliminate by just having a better system, I think, with JT. You should never like have that swing where you swing and the ball goes 3 inches where you top it. You know what I mean? Like that's a waste of a golf shot. If you advance the ball left or right, I think we're in a better place just by doing that. So yeah, it is. We're right there. Like these are stats that are like fixable. Like, you know what I mean? Like just eliminating tops is something I think you can do.
It's that was Hank Haney's big 3 was like when at every level of golf, whether you're trying to break 100 or whether you're trying to win a major, eliminate penalty strokes, eliminate 3 putts, eliminate multiple chips. That was his thing. Like if you're chipping a couple times in a row, that hurts. 3 putts hurt. Penalty strokes kill you. Eliminate those 3 and everybody will score better. It's amazing you took no penalty shots and only a couple 3 putts the last round. Like that, those are good signs.
Yes.
You're
really
close.
Good signs.
It's happening very soon.
Yeah.
Come on.
I'm excited to see JT. I'm very excited.
All right, boys. I'm excited for Webb Simpson. Good luck this week in Georgia. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. I hope you have a really, really successful Black Friday and Cyber Monday on our website. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
We have a favorite mortgage company. That's true. Frankie, Home, CrossCountry Mortgage. He's got like his best friend now is basically the CrossCountry Mortgage representative over there. You got to live somewhere. That's just a fact. Might as well own it unless you are more interested in paying someone else's mortgage, which seems foolish. It's a good time to buy when you are ready to buy. CCM listens, understands, and communicates throughout the entire loan process. You can provide more loan options tailored to your financial capabilities. Innovative technology focuses on what's important to fulfill your loan needs. So again, they're specific to you. This isn't just some generic, hey, here's what we do. Here's the package. No. CrossCountry Mortgage, they will work with you closely, intimately, get to know you, help you, stick with you throughout the entire process. Stable monthly payments, low to no down payments, access your equity to use for larger expenses, from debt consolidation to home renovations. How great are home renovations? I think we all love renovations. They're just fun. They're fun to
great.
Think about, talk about.
The thing about CrossCountry Mortgage is they're not going to be like judgy. That's the scary part for me with these, is I don't know what all those words mean, consolidation and renovate, equity, all this stuff. They're going to have someone who's going to walk you through the whole process and is not going to judge you or be a dick about it, which is really kind of all you can ask for.
Yeah, you pretty much want that in everything, I would say. So see if you qualify today. Visit ccm.com/barstool now. CrossCountry Mortgage LLC, NMLS 3029. All loans subject to underwriting approval. Visit www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. Go check out ccm.com/barstool now. Webb, thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you so
thanks
much
for having me on. Absolutely.
No, we're excited to. I got to imagine right now, I mean, we'll just kind of hop right in, but I imagine right now you're kind of hitting a little bit of a break. You got to be excited for a break.
Yeah, breaks are different for me now. I feel like I've been on break for like 2 years because I've scaled back. I used to play kind of a normal amount, like 25, 26 a year, but I've had a lot of time off this fall. And I'm actually in an interesting place right now because I got a lot of work to do. Like I don't feel the need for time off like I used to, because I used to just play a lot more and be in contention more. So it's more tiring. But now, like, it's been a while since I've been in contention. So I'm kind of eager to get back, playing better. So I'll take a little time off, but yeah, I'll be grinding here shortly.
Is any of that attributed to, family? And we kind of hear, obviously, when guys are younger, you're a little bit more on your own. You got time to do whatever you want. You pretty much been chasing golf your whole life. That's all you do. You get married, you have kids, you have homes, you start to have more priorities in life. Like, do you think that's contributed a lot to you scaling back, or
for sure
not playing as well as you'd like, or? Yeah,
it all started when this was probably like 6 years ago, and I really wanted to be consistently a top player. And I started really looking at what do the top players do differently than I do. And I looked at Dustin's schedule. Who else? Brooks' schedule. Maybe might have been Rory as well. And they just didn't play as much as I was playing. They were at 20 to 22 events, it seemed like at the time. And I'm like, Paulie does mention to me after some time off, like I'm fresher mentally. I don't complain as much. I'm mentally sharper. And so maybe there's something to getting away from the game, at least at a tournament level, still be sharp while I'm home. So that was kind of the start of it. And I scaled back to like 21, 22. But yeah, 5 kids, 11 and under, it's a lot easier to leave when they're like babies because obviously they can't quantify time like we can. But then they get older and it's like, man, they have stuff throughout the week that I don't want to miss. And it just, yeah, you feel that rub a little bit and that tension as a father. And that's another reason I'm cutting it back a little bit more, but I still want to play full time and I still want to be competitive. But, yeah, I'm 37 and I feel like 20 years ago I'm entering the prime, but now, as you guys know,
right,
like, prime's like 25 to 30.
Right. And I was going to ask about that is it really has shifted a lot in the past 5 or 10 years, it feels like. But it's interesting what you were saying about playing less, but not feeling like that necessarily means that you're sacrificing your game. Like you said, the top guys have played in that kind of 20 to 24 range. Is that true? I mean, is that a real thing where you feel like despite the fact that you are maybe playing a little bit less or your focus has shifted a little bit more toward your family, you don't feel like you're giving stuff up in golf, or do you feel like you're not pushing it quite as hard as you used to?
That's a great question. I think there comes a point in probably every golfer, every person's life where you can't go full throttle either way. You have to sacrifice one way or the other or a little bit of both. And sure, like this summer I missed my daughter's birthday because I wasn't guaranteed to get in the playoffs and I needed to go play a golf tournament during her birthday to get some points. And so there's hard things like that are just a reality. But I think a lot of that comes throughout the year in different moments, and you have to have a family who understands that me going to play a golf tournament doesn't mean I love golf more than my daughter, and she knows that. It's just the reality of my job. Like I needed to go play. But then, from a golf standpoint, if all I cared about was golf and getting to the highest level, sure, I would do a lot of things differently. But I just can't do them. Putting in more time, being on the road a lot more, going to Florida for a month in the winter to get ready for Hawaii, those kind of things.
But yeah, I mean, just hearing you talk about obviously the balance, right? The balance is something we hear about a lot, but the average golfer, average fan doesn't really have any idea about that balance. I'm always struck by how much energy and focus a professional golfer needs to have for an entire week, because playing a normal round of golf for an average player, we're not focused on half the shots,
right.
3/4 of the shots, right? Like truly in it and focused. And so to be that way, not just for 36 holes, 72 holes, but really the whole week leading up. I imagine like if you had some moments where you're like, man, just mentally, for the last couple shots or the last 9 holes or whatever, I just wasn't in it.
Oh yeah. Happens all the time, especially on the end of a stretch of like 3 out of 4 or 2 in a row, 3 in a row, whatever it is. I feel like there's almost two people inside of me where like I have to talk to myself, like tell myself to focus. And I don't like getting to the place where I'm not nervous, but I feel like at the end of a stretch, I lose some of those nerves that I've come to love because that adrenaline fires me up, and those nerves and the adrenaline helps me focus. That's why I've always said, like, my favorite pairings are in the past historically have been with Tiger, Phil, Rory, just big names, because there's so much going on that you have to focus, and it helps your attention span to be kind of zeroed in on what you're doing. So for sure, like you do become very exhausted at the end of a stretch to where you don't, it's not really golf you want to get away from. It's like tour life. Like everybody's watching you all the time. So that's what's nice about getting home.
You talked a lot about, or you mentioned that the prime has changed. And I just remember when you won the US Open, you were 26, you were like a young gun, right? That was like, a 26-year-old guy, new guy on the scene. Now we see guys winning 21, 22, 23. Someone who's been out there throughout the last decade, what is it about the young players that makes them so much better? When you play with these guys, what's different about a 23-year-old kid now versus a 23-year-old kid in 2009?
Well, my caddy and I are still trying to figure it out. I think one thing is they're not near as nervous as we always were. And, Paulie played on tour, I think 97, parts of 97, parts of 99. He says then, like, no one came out unless you're Tiger Woods or someone like that, like where you were already ready to play against these veterans. there was a learning curve. It now seems like there's not really even a learning curve. Like guys in college they're bigger, they hit it further, they're more confident. It seems like there's maybe more access to play at a higher level than there used to be. Tournament directors are letting more college kids play.
Mm-hmm.
I think that has something to do with it. But I do think the Tiger effect was real. Like he inspired a generation of players who believed that they could, be incredible at this game at a young age. And so, guys from age 10 on, it seemed like started to want to play golf because golf was a cool sport. Before golf was a dorky sport. Like when I was growing up, I played, golf and tennis were the country club sports or the dorky sports, but now it became like a cool sport. And then Ricky Fowler, I think, helped that big time. Little Rickies everywhere, but yeah, they're ready to go. Scotty Scheffler, in his whatever it was, second year on tour, just had a monster year, and it's like he's been doing this for 15 years. Y'all's guess is as good as mine.
I'm really curious if you've ever felt the temptation to change your game or try to chase, because you're not somebody who overpowers a golf course. You're not the longest hitter out there. When you are paired with, over the years, Tiger or the young guns coming out there, like has Webb Simpson ever had that Shooter McGavin moment where you're like trying to do somebody else's swing or change your game at all? Is it hard for you to just stay within your game?
Yeah, that's a great question you ask, because starting, I say 2018, I'm like, I have to get longer. Like I keep having these carries, these bunkers, or these corner of a fairway that's like 290, and I don't have that. Like I'm playing with these guys every week who they're able to fly these bunkers and they're able to play these golf courses, and it's way easier for them. Sure, I have strengths like hitting it straight, hitting my irons well, but like they're killing me when it comes to certain golf courses. I got to do something. So I hired one of the long drive guys to kind of help me out a little bit. Just to, more than anything, give me some tips on how can I hit it further. I started trying to hit more up on it. With my driver, I used to hit like 4 down, and then I got to be like 4 or 5 up. So I changed that.
It's a huge change. 4 down is like what? That's one of the more down numbers that I've heard. You hear guys going from like -1 to +3, but you were -4.
I was -4. I got up as high as probably +6, and I mean that was probably in a 18 to 20 month span. So here's why that's a great question, is because here's what it did for me. I fully believe in 2020, it's the reason I was able to win the Varden Trophy. There's no way I could have won Phoenix without this length, because the 6th hole and the 8th hole there, they have these bunkers to cover at like 290. And I could never cover them before. 6, I played at 3 under, and I covered the bunker twice when I pulled it. And then 8 at Phoenix has 2 bunkers on the left. The first bunker is like a pitch out bunker. But if you can carry the first one and get it in the second one, you have no lip issues. And one day I pulled it, and I'm like, I might not cover the first one. I covered the first one. It's in the second one. I hit that to a foot, made birdie. And I end up, obviously, I wanted a playoff, but I'm like, man, if I didn't have that distance, I wouldn't have won this week. And so, like, the good part about it was it got me this distance. I won a couple tournaments, won the Varden Trophy, but it got me into a nasty swing habit that I'm still working myself out of to this day.
Energy, baby. You got to have energy. You gotta have energy to get through this week. You got family. You might be trying to play some golf. You're going to be trying to eat. You are going to be eating some turkey as well. Tryptophan. You got to get through all this stuff. You got to have this conversation with grandma or Aunt Susie or whoever. Might be some drinking involved. You wake up. You're just going to need energy. Proper Wild. That's what we're talking about. They are a clean, all-day energy shot designed to boost your energy, focus, and productivity without the jitters or the crash. You've seen it on Breaking 90. You should see it now going into your system and helping you. No preservatives, no artificial sweeteners, no horrible chemicals. That's the beauty of Proper Wild. Just a natural tasting energy shot with clean ingredients that work. Today is a great example at the Barstool Bar in Scottsdale yesterday. Sunday football, couple drinks, got to get up. Big interviews today, big podcast, the whole deal. Had a shot earlier. Stuff has me going, moving. I'm in the zone.
But no jitters.
USA game coming out. No jitters. We got this USA game coming. All kinds of good stuff's going on. All kinds of hot action. I'm ready because of Proper Wild. So go to properwild.com/barstool. to try Proper Wild, 30% off. That's properwild.com/Barstool. You can try it for 30% off.
It's funny, you were talking about, chasing distance and whether it was worth it, and you said basically yes, but there were drawbacks. Do you think we're going to see that more? Almost like a quick payoff and a long-term problem, because obviously anytime you talk about bulk ups, you think about Bryson, and he just made some comments last week where he basically said, I won the US Open, it worked, but I did some things in my body where it made me unhealthy. We've seen other guys who have gotten injured, maybe they've had a little temporary spike. Is it possible that chasing the distance will turn out to be something that pays dividends in the short term, but maybe not in the long term?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it, because I can't say until my career is done whether or not it was worth it. I think it was worth it right now because of the year I had in 20, but I've also had 2 years, or almost 2 years now, of playing really bad golf. And I think of Rory. He tried to get longer, and he definitely got faster, but it cost him a little bit. And it seems like Bryson, Rory, and myself, we're all doing the same thing. We're trying to actually go back to where we were before we got longer. Now, the cool thing is, I don't know if this works for everybody, but I've kept my distance. Like, I've lost 20 pounds in the last year. Not trying to, I'm just not lifting the same. And I've kept my distance. So my speed is as high as it's ever been. But I never thought it was going to affect my irons like it has. And that's been kind of the biggest disappointment and the biggest hurdle to get over. Because, you look at my career, most years I'm probably top 30 in approach to the green, and that's suffered big time the last couple of years. And so I think time will tell whether it was worth it. But I mean, you asked me earlier about these college guys or these young guys. Most guys coming out now are already really long. So it's like not even a thing for them. They're just already hitting it 330, and that's normal.
Right. We were talking about, we were playing some golf with some college guys a couple of weeks ago. And I was saying, and I don't know if you agree with this, that if you took the average driving distance at the NCAA championship, it might be more than your average PGA Tour event.
It probably would be.
Because these kids just grow up with TrackMan, and they grow up trying to hit 4 up on it. And also the courses aren't quite as penal, so they're just gripping it and ripping it. But we were watching these two guys hit the ball, and I hit it a long way, and they were 30, 40 yards by me. It's a totally new level.
Yeah. And I probably should be more vocal on kind of what I think about distance. I'm just not I don't get involved in these conversations like a lot of guys do, but architecture now, it seems like every new redesign, they're playing into the hands of these.
Well, they take all the trees out, right?
Yeah, no trees. Yeah, no trouble. And so there's incentive for these young guys to learn how to hit it far, because that's what they're going to experience at this level.
It's interesting that you say that the redos recently that you've seen actually play more into their hands.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's hardly ever a redo where I show up and guys my link show up and be like, oh, this is better.
Right.
It's like, why did they do this? Like, this hole was already hard, and now it's longer and harder. And it plays into the hands of guys who can hit it 330.
I feel like you're an architecture guy. The kind of courses you live on, you like Donald Ross, you're out at Pinehurst. I feel like you get pretty into the architecture.
I do. I love seeing things that make sense. And I don't think I could ever start from scratch, but like, there's tons of moments when I'm playing golf courses where I'm like, why did they do this? This only benefits one player, the guy who can hit it 330, because most of the time amateurs are playing these courses. We're there once a week or 1 week a year. So it's almost like they're trying to cater to the less than 1% of us who are on the PGA Tour. Whereas I feel like golf courses like TPC Sawgrass, Harbor Town, I know people are like, oh, it's because you've won there. But no, you look at the scores over the years, these golf courses really haven't gotten much longer at all. And the scores are basically the same as they've always been, because the difficulty is in the rough, the narrowness of the fairways, and the smallness of the greens. Now it's like big, open, wide, big greens.
Was Olympic Club a little bit that way, where I feel like it wasn't necessarily for an open, like bombing it. You didn't have, it wasn't overly crazy long. It's a lot of the side hill lies and the trickier shots and
for sure. Yeah, like you had to be in control of your ball there big time. Like there's like Aaron Hills, even Winged Foot, what Bryson did, tons of US Open courses we go to. The rough is penal everywhere, so why not hit it as hard as you can? But Olympic Club, like you had to shape your ball. There's a lot of dog legs, tilted fairway. So like 5, I think of dog leg right with a right to left fairway. So you got to slice it into the fairway to hold it. But yeah, the health we're seeing now, the health of golf courses, they're saying relies a lot on sunlight. And so
Right.
more sunlight, less trees, greener grass. But I just don't. I get to a hole and there's a bunker that's 300 yards to carry, and I'm told that this is the way the original architect wanted it. And I'm like, well, that was 75 years ago when nobody could even reach this bunker. Now half the tour
There's just no way
can cover it. So all I've been saying is I just want me and Dustin Johnson, or well, he's on live now. So me and
I was going to say you got to, and you also said Dustin and Brooks for your 2 schedules that you looked at. See, we're going to have to work on those examples that you cite.
I know. So let's say me and Rory. Me and Rory get on a tee box together, and I'm going to try to beat him. He's trying to beat me. He's already got an advantage over me because of his length. So why is it a good idea on a hole to have a bunker, a penal bunker, cover at 310? Why is that a good thing? That's actually giving Rory double advantage. And so my example out here at Quail Hollow is the 10th hole. For a while there, it was 295, 300 to cover this bunker. And I was able to tell the guys, look, it's not a bad hole if you change the bunker. Like make the bunker so no one can carry it or everyone can carry it, but not a third of the field. Because for me and 2/3 of the field, like we got to squeeze it in the right side of the fairway where they're carrying this bunker. They got 5 iron in. So how am I going to beat them? And I'm not asking for it to be easier for me. I'm just asking for it to be easy for all links or equal for all links. So true skills can come out instead of just hitting it 340.
But I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Go ahead.
Is hitting it far and straight not a skill?
Hitting it far and straight, I would say, is a skill. But hitting it far with no real penalty for a wayward drive, which is what we experience a lot, I feel like that's where I'm fine with like really long golf courses, but make it penal for guys who are going to hit it offline. That's all I want. Like, Jason Gore will tell you at Winged Foot, the only mistake they made is I think the fairways hit was like 35% for the week. So nobody's hitting fairways, even the straight hitters. They should have made the rough more penal the closer you get to the green. That's it. Like let Bryson do his thing, but hey, if he hits in the rough, it's going to be a lot harder a good amount longer for him out of the rough than for us way back there.
Winged Foot was kind of a doubly rough deal because the rough was so long, but also it was open in front, so you could run wedges up from the rough. So I just remember Bryson all week hitting it so much further than everybody else, and then just kind of muscling a wedge that would land just short. And because he was coming in with a wedge and everyone else was coming in with 7 or 8 iron, they couldn't hold the greens. I remember that being kind of a week where it was like, okay, if we go too narrow, we can also go the other way also. Correct.
Yeah, Bryson with the wedge out of the rough there versus me with the 6 iron, he's going to win every time. And that's basically what he did, which good for him. It worked.
It definitely worked.
It's interesting hearing you talk because for me, a little bit of me too is like, well, if the other guys hit it farther, that's an advantage. They should have an advantage, but I haven't really thought about it the way you're talking about because we don't know enough about the differences week in, week out, year over year when they do tweak a course as acutely as you do, which is that if they're going to make a change, that's fine, but don't make it where if you just move a bunker up 15 yards further now, well, that doesn't change. Rory still just takes the same line, hits it over that bunker, nothing changed. Whereas if that now punishes you, not only are you punished for hitting it less, which is, I think we all agree, fair. If he hits it farther, good for him. But you're now punished again for hitting it that distance because now that bunker, you have to hit the right half of the fairway where he doesn't because he just carries it. So that is, I get that now because I was thinking a little bit at the beginning too of like, oh, he's just bitching because he doesn't hit it as far. But in reality, like you're saying, fine, I can see that that's an advantage, but don't double punish people with these tweaks. If you're going to make tweaks, if you're going to make changes, if you're going to try to figure out a way to make it more equitable out there, the answer is not what some of these moves have been.
Correct. And another hole that everyone knows that they've actually done a great change is 15 at Augusta. So for a while there, the crest of the hill, if you carried the ball, let's say 300 yards, I can't remember exactly what it was, your ball landed on a downslope. So me and Rory are on the tee. I can't cover at 300. He can. Right. His ball's going to land on a downslope. What's that?
He gets like an accelerator, like in Mario Kart.
And all I'm asking for on that hole is like, hey, make it either we both land on a downslope, we both land on an upslope, or we both land flat, and they fixed it. Because, again, I applaud him. I applaud these guys for hitting it far, but I don't want to step on a tee and know, like, oh, my gosh, what do I have to do now? You know, that the hole's it's a different hole. So, yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it would almost be like if you're closer, or if your skill where you do have the advantages more proximity to the hole from certain distance, you're closer. It would almost be like if you landed yours within 12 feet, there's just a toilet bowl and it just funnels into the hole.
Right.
Whereas if you'd be like, well, that's not entirely fair. If one guy hits it 16 feet away, the other guy hits it 12 feet away, and the guy hits it 12 feet, it just funnels into the hole.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, another thing I always like to bring up is like where I think these modern day architects are missing it in terms of making golf courses harder is they're not looking at some of our signature holes enough in the sense of what makes a hole hard. The hole I always like to talk about is Fore at Sawgrass. It's 390 yards downhill. Every year at the Players, it plays over par. It's one of the sneaky, underrated, hardest holes. If you drive in the fairway, you're going to have a birdie putt inside 15 feet probably. But there's more doubles and triples there than maybe any hole out there. And I just love it. It's hard for the reasons of rough, pot bunkers, water, weird green. And then again, last thing I'll say on this architecture stuff, 18 at Sawgrass is a perfect hole for me because Ricky Fowler really sacked up the year he won, hit driver. You know, he's hitting fades over the corner, which, again, I'll applaud him. Good for him. I like to lay back there. I don't like that tee shot, but it's a hole at least where if you want to let Rory hit driver, he can hit driver. And if I want to lay up, I can lay up. And there's no real like advantage or disadvantage when we're standing on the tee together. So, I mean, I think Pete Dye gets it right a lot.
Yeah. I do like that hole. That hole's great for drama. I remember when it's cool now that you say it to see the different shots from winners that I remember because that tournament has done such a good job of for any average sports fan, golf fan, sticking out because of the finish. Everybody talks about 17, but also 16 and 18. When you watch those holes year over year over year, you start to remember the shots. You start to remember what people have to do. We've seen Tiger hit 2-iron there. We've seen Rory step up and pull driver. We've seen you lay back. We've seen Ricky in that playoff with Kiz and Sergio where they're all hitting different clubs and different shots in. So it is cool to think about that hole that there's so many different ways to get it done. I mean, Cam Smith, I think, hit driver way right into the trees, chipped it into the water, and got up and down. So
unbelievable.
We've seen so many different clubs and choices off the tee. That's a great call. That hole's a really good hole.
One of my favorite memories of that tournament and that hole was Henrik Stenson shooting 66 without putting a tee in the ground that day. He didn't hit driver once all day, and he was in that period of time where he was just crushing his 3-wood, and he wasn't teeing it up off tees either. So I remember they were like, I think it was Maltby or whatever was like, I think he's going to shoot 66 without putting a tee in the ground, and I'll just always remember that.
See, and that's where to sum up my thoughts on this. That's where I think a great golf course that we play on tour is evident by the winners. You look at Sawgrass, Bombers have won there, and short hitters have won. I mean, the year I won, I was actually the shortest player in the field. And so I think that's evidence of a great golf course because you don't want all bombers, you don't want all short hitters. And you know, Tigers won, like you said, Stenson. I mean, tons of long players have won there.
So why were you so tempted then to go for the distance route? Because I remember, and this might be kind of an ironic example in hindsight, but I remember having a conversation with Matt Fitzpatrick, and he cited you. This was before he kind of went down the distance route himself, I suppose. But he cited you as someone like, you know, he would say, I don't see a reason why someone who hits it my distances can't be a top 10 player in the world. Look at what Webb Simpson's done. He's won all these tournaments. He's won major championships. You were in a position where you were a top we'll say 20 player perennially.
Yeah.
And you decided to go for this. So why?
I think I felt like our golf courses were trending in a way where I was going to keep having problems of carrying bunkers and being long enough. And I think I just got fed up with, as a top 20 player, like you said, year in, year out, I'm playing, my pairings are Rory, Rahm every week. And like, I probably a little doubt, like, can I really keep up with these guys if they consistently hit it 30, 40 by me? Like, I've done it now for a few years, but can I keep doing it? So probably some of it was like, I feel like just a matter of time. I don't know how long I can do this and be so good with my irons and make putts. But I also thought I have great people around me, and I'm going to take this really slow. I got Paulie watching me. I got Butch. I got my trainer. And I'm not blaming any of them. It's just I thought I could do it little by little. But you guys know golf enough to know, like, swing changes. When your swing starts changing, you don't know it at first.
Yeah.
Over time, you look at a video, you're like, oh my gosh, how did we get here? So I think I thought I could do it without changing a whole lot. But 2 years of hitting drivers on the back of the range at Quail, as hard as I can hit it for an hour, multiple days a week, it caught up. And that's probably a main reason why I got hurt.
That's so interesting. Do you then, as we talked a lot about the very beginning of the show about scheduling and, trying to pick your spots a little bit more, Kiz has famously on our show talked about how there's certain tournaments he has zero chance at. So will you work your schedule around courses architecturally that fit you, that you like?
Yeah. I mean, that's 99% of why I go to tournaments. Like, I'll never miss Sony Open because that's one of the courses that's best for me. So I literally plan the whole year around where do I feel like I have the best chance of winning. Now, there's a couple of instances where the golf course isn't great for me for length reasons. And now with our schedule changing and the whole PGA Tour changing, it might be a little different. But if I could help it and it wasn't a major or World Golf Championship, I was only picking courses really for distance. And, some courses have 5 or 6 forced carries that I can't carry. And I mean, like Riviera, I'll say this. I'm going to play Riv this coming year. I hate
You usually don't, right?
What?
You usually don't.
I don't. And my caddy will tell you, Paulie will tell you, like, it's really because I hate the ninth hole. The ninth hole is what I'm talking about. The bunker's like 300 to cover. And if you can't cover it, your fairway's half the width. And the bunker's a pitch out bunker. I rebelled one year. I hated the bunker so much, I laid up. I hit hybrid off the tee, and I had 5 wood into the green. I'm like, I'm sick of this. I'm doing it. But all they have to do at Riv, as much as I love Riv, besides that hole, is put one more bunker over the carry bunker. So then it's like, hey, Rory, you want to hit driver? Hit driver. You can still hit driver. But if you pull it, you're going to be like everybody else, and you're going to be in the bunker. But, yeah.
I can't wait to watch you play the ninth hole. You better be on PGA Tour live. We gotta watch you play the ninth hole.
Do you go for it on 10, or do you not even know? I mean, you haven't played in so long.
Last time I played, I think it was 17, maybe. I used to always lay up, but now
everyone goes for it now. Like, nobody lays.
I know. Like, I watched last year, and I'm like, am I going to be the only one? Like, I historically played 10 very, very well. I was like 1 under probably on average. And but I'm like,
I'll get it done.
I'm not going to be the only guy. Am I going to be the only guy hitting 5-iron off the tee way left?
I think Justin Thomas does it too. So you got some company there. You and JT.
Whoop is the world's most powerful personalized digital fitness and health coach and official fitness wearable of the PGA and the LPGA tours. I got mine right here. I've had a little bit of an up and down. I had 20% recovery today. Not great. But yesterday, I was in the green, 75%. After my little Friday night at the Barstool Scottsdale, 9%. Day before that, 51%. And then green at 69 and 68. Very nice. The whole point is that Whoop tracks you better than anyone else. Monitor your recovery, your sleep, your training, and health with personalized recommendations and coaching feedback with Whoop and the all-new Whoop 4.0, which is smaller, smarter, designed with new biometric tracking, including skin temperature, blood oxygen, and a new haptic alarm. You can monitor the impact of your lifestyle choices with The Journal. You can track how alcohol impacts your recovery. Little spoiler here.
Spoiler.
It hurts it. It just crushes it. So, you can try to be a little bit smarter and obviously understand that what you're doing to your body, you might feel or think you feel a certain way. There's no way of getting around it with this puppy. This is going to make you better, more efficient, more impressive human being all around, because we want data. We want to know what's going on and what we need to work on. So go to whoop.com, enter the code FORE to save 15% off at checkout. That is whoop.com. Use that code FORE. You can save 15% off at checkout.
You mentioned all the changes to the PGA Tour, and you're a veteran, and you've been watching all this the same as all of us. 30,000 feet, we're at the end of the year now. When you look back at 2022 in golf, how would you even begin to summarize the journey the game has been on in the last 12 months?
It's hard to summarize it. I've been on the pack, so that's been interesting to see some of the stuff happen kind of from the inside. And, being on the pack, a lot of guys are coming to me asking questions. A lot of times I don't even know how to answer them. I'm not on the board yet. I roll into the board in January. But, a lot of people think that the structural changes that are happening are a result of, Liv coming into play, and this would have never happened had Liv not come into play. And who knows, maybe that's true. But I'm still in a place where I don't know what the future is going to feel like. I mean, it seems like we're going to have 2 tours. It seems like, when I got on tour, 2009, I'm like, okay, I'm guaranteed to tee it up against Tiger Woods 8 times this year. Like, I'm going to see Tiger and I'm going to see Phil 7 or 8 times. Like, that's really cool for a rookie, for a guy who's always dreamed of playing the tour. And now that's not really going to be the case. I think starting in 24, you're going to have 2 different tours, whether, however they package it, whatever they say, you're going to have a group of guys playing here and a group of guys playing here. And sure, a few times a year they'll play together, maybe at the majors, but I don't know how I feel. I mean, I'm a little bit of an old soul in the sense I like things the way they've been. But also know that, like, we need to get the good players together more often. I understand that.
Right. It's for you, it's been a good system. I mean, you've played on tour now for 15 years. You've made a boatload of money, and you haven't had to do kind of the self-promotion. I'm going to play here because I have to, or I'm going to post this video. You, like you said, you've been able to pick golf courses, the ones that you want to play, and have an incredible career. And now you don't have quite as much. You still have autonomy, but not quite as much.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I was happy to see that these elevated events are a few of my favorite places. But yeah, I mean, it's like a little transition stage of not you're being told where to play, but hey, if you want to play in the best event, you have to play right here. And then 3 weeks later, you're going to play here. So you're right. I mean, you lose a little bit of that uniqueness. That's why I think, why I've been outspoken about how I think it's going to be a shock to a lot of these live guys. They've been their own boss for so long. You want to play a tournament next week? You literally tell your agent, I'm going to play. You don't want to play? You say, I don't want to play. You don't listen to anyone, and you don't have to answer to anyone, which is a gift. Like, that's a blessing of being a PGA Tour player. Now, for the live guys, it's different. They're on a team. They're going to have owners. I do feel like that's going to be tough for them. And not to get into that too much, but yeah, I mean, now we're getting a little bit of that with this new schedule, and we'll see how it works out. But I'm still like talking to you guys, like I still don't even know how I feel about it. Yeah.
Well, it hasn't happened yet. You still got year 1 to come.
Right.
Yeah, we feel the same way. We kind of go back and forth. As you can imagine, it's a big talking point on our show. We just BS about golf for 4 hours a week, so we're going to talk about it. But
golf is like an hour, maybe.
You get it. I think a reasonable person can understand it from both sides. It is interesting to hear you talk about the elevated events and how you've pretty much always played courses 99% of the time that you think are going to give you the best chance to win. Well, with the elevated events, there might be 1 or 2 now where you're like, well, I need to play in these events. I can make X amount of money as long as I tee it up, and if I play well, and the points and how many, and all that. So it's been wild to witness the landscape changing. We selfishly we're very excited for the majors because if those are the times when everybody gets to come together and you get to witness it, maybe there'll be some drama. I mean, I think you are universally considered one of the nicest guys in professional golf. Have you had any? Is there any drama involved with you? Is there anybody wherever you practice or play that's weird now, or has nothing really changed for you?
Nothing's really changed. It seems like kind of the older generation. Like when I go to Quail or in Pinehurst, they seem pretty against LIV, this idea of a foreign tour coming in and kind of taking over something that they've always known. But I mean, Harold Varner's a member here at Quail.
Right.
And I've seen the members, be great with him and, supportive, maybe not necessarily of LIV, but supportive of him. And I think everybody loves Harold. Harold's great to be around. And as a player, there's certain guys that have gone to LIV where I totally understand it. It makes sense even to me that they would do that. But there's other guys that doesn't make any sense to me. And I really resonated with Tiger's words that he said at St. Andrews this year about how can you
taking it out of the dirt.
Yeah. And exactly. How can you walk these fairways and how can you really give up the opportunity to be able to play in major championships? That's what it's all about. And I agree. I get it. Some of these young kids and the paychecks they're getting from LIV are significant and sizable. But I mean, what is worth not playing in the majors? Is there an amount? Maybe for some guys there is an amount and they don't care. They just, some guys out here on the tour don't like golf. They just do it because it's their job and they get paid to do it. But I love the majors. I love, that's why I practice. You
love golf.
I love golf and I love competing and I love having a chance to win on Sunday. And I'm not in the Masters right now. It's been a long time since I hadn't played the Masters, but I hope I get in. I plan on getting in. If I don't, I'm still going to watch. I love it.
It's cool to hear you talk about it that way because I do think the majority of guys are like you that are, this is how you end up with this as your profession is that you love it. You get to play a game for a living. It's super cool. I talk with Max Homa about it quite a bit about, the weeks leading up to majors and I'll text him and I'll be like, dude, how cool is it that you get to play in the Open at St. Andrews, where you get to play in the Masters tournament and you are a legitimate golfer that possesses what it takes to potentially win the tournament. That is so unimaginable.
You put it that way.
Cool to me. And
so cool.
And he gets hyped up and he's like, it's so awesome that I overdo it. Because he talks about his majors and he wishes he had better performances and he's got to figure all of that out. But we just have those very from 30,000 feet conversation about dude, you get to play in this major championship. There's going to be 50,000 people a day that are just hoping to be able to see you on the golf course, and you get to play. And on a level of just loving the game, like Tiger said, like you're saying, really, that's what it's about.
That's what it's about. I mean, even in my early days when I had made hardly any money on the tour, coming down the stretch, trying to win a tournament, I really never thought, is this putt worth $100,000 or $200,000? You think I might be able to win the tournament today. I might be a PGA Tour winner. I'm sure Adam Svensson, however you say his last name, I'm sure he was thinking the same thing. Man, this was his 70th tour start, and he might actually be a tour winner. Winning is what it's all about, and having that chance to win. And then it amplifies, like you guys are saying, at the majors. It's that much cooler, that much more important to have a chance on Sunday.
I wanted to ask you kind of a specific question. I know you live at Quail Hollow. I have a little bit of a series that I do because I go to a lot of these events where I like to look at the houses on golf courses. And I think that the 7th hole at Quail Hollow might be the best one on tour, but I'm not sure. So I want to ask someone who lives at Quail Hollow and who has played the PGA Tour for 15 years, what are some other holes that jump out to you as having some of the most unbelievable houses? I can tell you some of mine if you want.
Yeah, I want to hear yours. I'd have to think.
12 at Riviera.
Yes.
Down the left side there is pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome.
11, kind of down, really, actually, I would say 14 at Pebble Beach.
Yeah.
All those houses down the right side.
Oh, yeah.
Charles Schwab's house right there. But those are going to
be hard to beat. From pure just market value, I don't know that you're going to beat 14 at Pebble.
One of my favorite houses is 16 at Sony, right there by the green.
Okay.
That blue roof. It's amazing. But no, those are good ones. 14 at Pebble. It's hard to beat 14 at Pebble.
But 7 at Quail Hollow, though, you got some houses there by the green that I remember we were at the President's Cup a couple of weeks ago, and people were just like, is that a home?
There's a Sedgefield actually has some serious ones, too.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that.
Sedgefield's turning over big time.
Yeah, there were some castles there. I was like walking around. I was like, wow.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
For you, was the President's Cup, the more we kind of get to chat with you, was being an assistant captain for the President's Cup a little bit bittersweet for you? Because, I mean, I know you got it. You believe you're 37. You would be in your prime if it weren't for the last 5 or 10 years and things shifting. Was that a little bit bittersweet for you to be out there as an assistant captain?
Yeah. So I had more fun than I thought I would have for sure. I knew I was going to have a good time, but like, man, it was really fun. The captain side being my first time on that side, there was a lot more work than I anticipated that these captains do. I mean, they're up late every night talking, strategizing, using the analytics guys. That I didn't expect. And then I expected it to be like not nervous at all, like just kind of chill watching. And I was nervous. I was into it. So it was really cool to see that, be a spectator, I guess. I mean, it was a little awkward, like show up at the course 2.5 hours before the first time, and I got nothing to do. In the past, I'm stretching, I'm doing stuff, talking to Paul, all that kind of stuff. So it was fun. I mean, it was a dream come true to play for Davis at Medina in 2012 because he's always been my favorite golfer. And then, Tiger asked me to be an assistant without Davis knowing it. But like when I found out it was official that I was going to be here, that was really cool because I live here. And I love the team. I mean, the guys on the team were amazing. And, it's different now. When I played these teams, like I remember we'd hang out till like 10:30, 11 every night. Well, now these guys go to bed at like 9 o'clock.
Yeah, everyone's lame now. They're all so regimented, huh?
Kids want to hang out every night. Kids would come hang out with us. But all the rest of the guys, they're in their oxygen boots. They got their cold plunge.
It's like, when did it get so serious?
I know. So maybe I got to get into those oxygen boots. Maybe that'll help me play better.
What's going on with your coffee routine? Did I hear that you bring your own coffee machine to every event?
I do. It's a pour over kit, kettle, scale, grinder, the whole thing.
Do you have a separate case for it? Does it go in the golf bag? Where does it go?
So I have a little carry-on.
Nice.
I mean, Starbucks line, it's so long at the airport. I'll bust it out at the airport and just make
No way, you'll bust it out at the airport.
Oh yeah. Paul, when Paul sees me do it, he's like, "Aren't you embarrassed?" Like everybody's looking at you. I'm like, I don't care. Like I want a cup of coffee. I'm gonna make it.
Has anyone ever walked up to you and been like, "Hey, Webb Simpson, like, what the fuck are you doing pouring coffee in the airport?"
Oh yeah. People will walk by me like this, like they're like filming to show their friends, like, what's this guy doing in the middle of the airport?
Look at this lunatic making his own coffee.
No, I when I get into something, I really get into it. And so coffee is one of those things where my buddy owns a coffee shop. And so a few years ago, I asked him, what's the best way to make a cup of coffee? Like I want to drink the best method. And he told me pour over. So I got into it.
Wow. I liked it. By the way, Dan, you owe $5 to the kitty. We said we weren't going to curse this whole show.
Man, did I curse? Yeah. We did. We had a whole talk last podcast about how we weren't going to curse during the Webb episode.
We got Webb Simpson. He's a man of God, of faith, and we got Dan out here. So he owes $5 to the kitty. He's got to throw $5 in the kitty.
That's on me.
You almost made it, Dan. I don't care at all.
So close. We were so close to making it. So when's the next start? When are you firing it back up again?
So my plan right now is to play Sony and then 3 weeks off, and then I'll play Phoenix and LA. So I can't wait to lay up on 9 at Riviera.
God, I can't wait to watch.
10.
I hope there's somewhere.
10. That's right.
9 though. 9. I'm just like, if you do hit one in that bunker, I'm gonna just
9
on the
also,
Barstool Sportsbook. I'm gonna start betting like Webb Simpson is gonna miss the cut. He's pissed. He hates that bunker so much.
Well, for people who don't know 9 at Riviera, it's a pretty psycho hole to hit hybrid off the tee. Like you did that purely out of spite because I think that hole's like 470 uphill.
Oh yeah, I mean I had 5-wood into a small green. And my cat. Hey, here's the good thing about Paulie. if I feel like pretty passionate about this stuff, like he's like way more. So he was
He'll
like,
amp
yes,
you
let's
up.
hit hybrid.
Yeah, screw
you
this hole.
You weren't
Hit a
proving a
hybrid.
point to anyone except for you just making it harder
the
on you. So
best
that
part.
just shows the neuroses of golf because
I know.
it wasn't good. It wasn't a good thing.
No. And whoever I was playing with, I'm sure was like, what is he doing right now? Like, what is happening?
Does he think we're on 10?
That's right.
How'd you get the Ain't No Hobby hat? Did you kids give it to you or did you order it?
So you tweeted it or he tweeted it and I ordered it. And I screenshotted the order and I told him, I said, see, I support you and your foundation. And he's like, he laughed. He's like, you should have just texted me. I could have gotten you one for free. I said, no, I paid my $40.
How was your experience on the Barstool store? Did it come okay? Good timing, everything?
What's that?
How was your experience on the Barstool store? Was the shipping okay?
Great.
Was it okay?
I had
Great.
no problems. Yeah. It was
Love
easy.
that.
Nice and easy.
Nice
That's
job.
nice. We do appreciate that.
Where's yours, Dan?
I got one.
You
Just
got
not
one?
on me. Just not on me.
That's a good question. Really good question. Yeah, kids sent me a picture and it was just Webb Simpson wearing the Ain't No Hobby hat. I was like, that's amazing. I like that. So
When are you going to Pinehurst again?
I'm trying to think. Maybe I used to always go during January. Actually, they would do this. My guy Dave there, who works in the shop, one of the assistant pros in the shop there, would do this tournament, the Rossi. And last year it got snowed out for 2 of the rounds. So I think that might have been my final time going in like January. Like you said, you got to go down to Florida. So it might be February or March or so. But last time I was there, actually, we had the family came into town for first time nephew. And boy, my nephew Rob, who just turned 6. And I know you take your kids out to the cradle and all that. We were blown away at how much he just loved Pinehurst. He just loved every part of it. Jumping on the golf cart, even, and just riding around on the golf cart. He was so pumped. So
such a good place for all ages.
It's crazy how, I always think of it as an adult playground. My buddies come down, we have cocktails and play golf. And here's this little 5-year-old at the time running around. And he just, from the second he got there till he left, was in heaven the whole time.
We were there the weekend before the RSM, and my son just took his shoes off, and he's like, Can I play with no shoes? And at first I'm like, no, it's a golf course. But then I realized where we were. I'm like, yep, today you can do that. And he loved it.
Amazing.
So
yeah. Playing the cradle with no shoes on in the afternoon, you do a spin or two, is probably my favorite place to be in the world. So I like that.
Yeah, me too.
It. Yeah, it's great. But yeah, maybe I'll hit you up. If I'm down there, we got to play on the cradle a little bit. We got to.
I think Webb Simpson's probably an absolute menace on the cradle. That course really suits your game nicely.
You have to be a serious problem on the cradle.
I don't want to play you for anything at the cradle.
You're carrying all the bunkers on the cradle. You're carrying all the bunkers on the cradle, Webb. No problem.
Yeah. Hey, there's no laying up there.
That's right. All right, cool. We appreciate it. Thank you so much for doing this. This was a long time coming, and we'll have to have you on as a recurring guest.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. We'll do it again.
Cool.
Happy Thanksgiving.
I'll see you on the West Coast. We'll see you soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks, Webb.
Hey, boys.